Yes, I'm back. The world cannot keep me away for long. Yeah, the JP is in effect. Whatever that means, I don't know. But yes, I had this little series, Game Boy Filler, that evolved into Game Boy Killer, and then I kind of moved on to other things. But I'm like, you know what, I've got some unfinished business with Game Boy Killer. You know, I did 17 episodes of it, and now we are on episode 18 because I could do with the subscription money because why not? Something to do, isn't it? But I'm not here for that. I'm here because I want to play some games like Donkey Kong Land in its special yellow cartridge, which we'll get to in a minute. But you can see that the list itself has evolved a little bit. So actually I should, while I'm here, I should give a shout out to... oh, it doesn't actually say here. Oops. But yeah, just give a shout out to Twitch user Quark. That's KWARQ. You can find them on Twitch and on Blue Sky. Apparently, I don't use social media stuff, but you can find them on there. They do streams as well. I think they were streaming Doom recently, so it's a fun time. But yes, they made this list. But I actually decided to sort of take their sort of list system and modify it a bit. And I did get permission. I did ask. I was like, I want to make a custom list so I can do... sort of retrofit it to the Game Boy Killer list. And they agreed, obviously. Otherwise I wouldn't have done it. So, yeah, you've ever heard about this Kong fellow? Well, unfortunately we haven't really seen much of Mr. Kong as of yet. But we have seen these games that are in the top 10, all your favourites like Tailgater, Super Mario Land, of course, you know, the classic. Netto, the King of Fighters 97, Pokemon Red, Green, Blue and Yellow, the full Generation 1. I lumped them all into one entry because they're all practically the same game. Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, of course. Tetris, because you've got to have Tetris up there. V-Rally Championship Edition 97. Well, I think that's what it may have been called on the packaging, I forget. Real Battlefield Fury Special, Netto the King of Fighters 96, and the best game, obviously, is Bubble Ghost. I mean, could any game ever beat Bubble Ghost? I guess we'll find out as I make my way through this series, and I'd like to thank you all for turning it up. Show that, you know, it's not just me talking into a void. I mean, I suppose technically it kind of is, but also there are people here to watch as I talk into the void. But, yeah, making our way down this list. Now, I actually do want to analyse certain entries on this list and see if, yeah, they could do a bit of fixing, because I did sit down and play some of these games after ranking them on this list, and I'm thinking, is this ranking correct? Well, I guess we'll find out. So, you know, of course, we have some other very good games here, like RoboCop, Solomon's Club, Heavyweight Championship Boxing, Mega Man 4, of course. Drop Zone, the monochrome version. I do have the colour version, so hopefully we'll get to see that as well. King of the Zoo, also known as Penguin Wars. Spot the Video Game, Second Space, Yar's Revenge, the Kotal Ultimatum, another classic. And, yeah, just working our way down this list, obviously the games gradually become less good. But, you know, Sonic 6, you could do far worse. Pocket Monster Go Go Go, Boxer 1 and 2. I'm just looking at some of these titles, like James Bond 007. There was a James Bond game on Game Boy. A bit of an odd one, but probably worth a look into. The weird version of Street Fighter 2, Wario Blast. Do hope to see more of Wario at some point. Captain Knick-Knack, which is actually a Sachin game, which is I guess kind of their attempt at a cute em up, really. And as we go below the top 100, we see games like Railway and Loops and Street Rider, World Bowling, which is, well, a bowling game, as you probably guessed. Dragon Slayer 1, which could have been great, but just isn't. Yes, Boxall does have the voice samples, and that's part of the reason why it's as high on the list as it is. Now, not so high on the list, games like Solar Striker, which is a functional but not exceptional shoot 'em up. Estin Lupin, No, SD Lupin. Bubble Bobble Jr., which I was not impressed by. You've also got Holy Magic Century, or Quest Fantasy Challenge, or as it's known by its real title, Bad Mr. Do. David Beckham Soccer, which is not a very good soccer game, but it is a really good bio on David Beckham, circa 2001. Versus Battler, or Bionic Battler as it's also known. Castlevania games down here. You can hear the soundtrack to Castlevania The Adventure right now, which is a quality soundtrack. If you want to know why it's higher than Castlevania Legends, the soundtrack is a big reason behind that. Also because Castlevania Legends was a very half-assed game in general. The first and third Mega Man games, which are not good. In fact, just this entire bottom page, I'm just going to call it the Hall of Shame. Because that's basically what it is. You know, all of these games, from Mega Man 3 down to Sonic Adventure 7, I would just call these the Hall of Shame. These are not good games. You do not want to play these. Unless you're crazy and actually like the first and third Mega Man games on Game Boy. But, yeah, certainly by the time you get to Digimon 024, that's when you hit the real dregs. When you start hitting games that are worse than what Microsoft was putting out on the Game Boy, that's when you need to consider your choice of career. And certainly Microsoft should have considered their choice of career as well, considering what they were putting out. Games like Jurassic Boy... Well, no, that wasn't theirs. Rockman X, that was one of theirs. As was Super Donkey Kong 3, which is the only Donkey Kong game we've seen on this list so far, which feels incorrect. We need to start looking at some better games, like Donkey Kong Land, for instance. And of course, other trash, like Bart Simpson's Escape from Camp Deadly, Ninja Turtles 3 The Radical Rescue, F1 Race, Pokemon Adventure, which is a game I've finished multiple times because I'm insane, apparently. But, like I say, I do think some of these games need to be re-ranked a little bit. Like, honestly, Ninja Turtles 3 Radical Rescue, I did sit down and play this game off stream pretty recently. I was like, is this game really as bad as I made it out to be when I streamed it? And the answer is mostly yes. It is pretty terrible. It's an odd one. The pieces are all there for a great game, but the game is just brutally difficult, has limited continues, gives you too little health to deal with the obstacles, the bosses are brutally difficult and unfair, and feel like they came straight out of a fighting game. They feel like they're in the wrong genre entirely. And the Ninja Turtles are all exactly the same, just with a different ability to get around the map. There's no different offensive weapons, there are no projectiles. I mean, even the first Ninja Turtles game on the NES, which is infamous for not being very good, it stands head and shoulders above Radical Rescue. And yet, having played a little bit further into it, I can pretty much say definitively it is not as bad a game as F1 Race. F1 Race is worse. F1 Race made me want to die. It's also not worse than Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is a game that's so confusing that I'm pretty certain most people gave up before even beating the first level. I can at least say I've gone back and beaten a boss fight in Radical Rescue. But yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is just a complete mess. Like Ninja Turtles 3, at least you kind of generally know what you're supposed to do in it. So I'm going to put it at number 171. It's still completely shit, and worse than NFL football, but maybe not quite as shit as I thought it was. I've got to be honest, if this list was based completely on personal opinion, F1 Race would probably be at the bottom of the list. Like, it would be right here, like somewhere around the buffer zone. But just looking at some of these other games, like I'm trying to think what else I played. Castlevania The Adventure, which is not a good game. Not quite one of the worst games on the system, but certainly not as good as you would want it to be. Just too slow and frustrating. Much like Pre-Pre, actually, now that I think about it. Which is, yeah, Lode Runner-esque puzzle game that kind of lacks anything that made Lode Runner a fun game to play. But yeah, Castlevania The Adventure, I've played a little bit further into this as well. I still don't think it's very good. But I mean, if you ask me to choose between this or Versus Battler, I'm going to go with this game. But it's not as good as Koi wa Kakehiki. Castlevania The Adventure at least has a banging soundtrack, which Versus Battler, the soundtrack is okay, but it's no Castlevania The Adventure. And then looking at some of these other games, well, most of these I have not played recently. Also, you may note, 182 games on the list, I'm not counting the buffer zone. I had to remove 12 games off the list because I'm changing the focus of this list a little bit. It used to just be whatever games I've got on Pirate Multicarts, but I've decided to change the focus to games that got standalone releases. So there were a whole bunch of games that I took off the list. Games like Dan Laser and War Flea, or Flea War, the name is inconsistent. Crazy Burger, Small Gorilla. Games like these I took off the list because I couldn't find any evidence of there being any standalone releases. There were games like Trouble Zone, or Arctic Zone, or Second Space, which did get standalone releases on the Mega Duck, which you may think is a different system. It really isn't. It's basically a glorified Game Boy clone with different registers, so you can't just put one game on the other system. You do have to hack the game a little bit, but capability-wise, they're exactly the same. But yeah, just looking at some of these other games, honestly, Paperboy probably belongs low on the list. This is not a good version of Paperboy, but I'm going to leave it there for now at least. And then I'm looking at these games just outside the top 100. I'm thinking, are any of these games as good as D-Alien Opus or Dead Alien or whatever you want to call it? I'm going to say no, from what I've played. Like, Pop-Up is close, but yeah, just a little bit too unforgiving. The fact that you have to do all the levels on one set of lives puts it below the top 100 for me. But then you've got some of these other games, like Boomer's Adventure in Asmic World. And I'm just looking at some of these titles. In fact, what was the game I was playing yesterday? There was one I was playing yesterday. I was like, why is this game so low on the list? Oh, it was the Amazing Spider-Man 1. I was like, why is this game so low on the list? And then I played it, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's because the game has really slow, laggy controls, and punching enemies is useless because you always get hit. That's why it's down here. But we've also got such classics as Pocket Monster Go Go Go. One that I did play pretty recently, actually, was Shanghai. Well, actually, it wasn't so recently, it was when I played it off-stream for the achievements. And I kind of realised, you know, this game actually does have a little bit more to it than I thought they did. Or that I thought I did. And, yeah, there's a few sort of weird sort of extra features if you enter certain codes, and I think those do elevate the game a bit, because really it's the lack of content that keeps the game from being much higher on the list. But I do think it's better than this weird version of DuckTales. I think it's better than... It's just barely better than Pinball Revenge of the Gator. But it's not better than Buster Move 4. I think, yeah, I think 44 is a good spot rather than 50. You know, it's a fairer spot for Shanghai. Could have done with a bit more in terms of levels, but, you know, for an early Game Boy title, like, almost, you know, launch era, yeah, I would say it belongs up there. Also, get a load of the bootleg Flintstones theme. Gotta have that. And I'm just looking at some of these other games. Like, pretty recently I did play Minesweeper, and as good as Minesweeper is, I think what lets this game down is the mission mode is really bad. Because you've got to do 7 sets of 10 levels each. You have one life to clear all the levels. You get a password every 10 levels, and if you make a single mistake, you have to do the entire set of levels again. It's so poorly designed as to be basically useless. So I think that knocks it down quite a bit on this list. I don't think it's good enough to be number 11. But the core mode is still quite good. But, you know, overall I would say maybe not quite as good as, maybe not quite as good as Bomb Jack or Windows Minesweeper. Hello, Otis. Hope you're doing well. I hope to see you again. I will be moving on to the games in a bit. I just got to re-rank Minesweeper a bit. Because when you think about it, it's really not as good as Solomon's Club. It's not as good as Rodland. But I do think it is better than Cat Trap. Yeah, I think it's 21. I'll give it a blackjack. But this is the list as it stands for now. But this list will be put to the test by a new set of games, which I'm actually going to play on the Super Game Boy for the SNES. Now, all the previous streams I've done on the Game Boy Player on GameCube, and I will continue to do so for most of the streams, but just for today, I will be doing some Super Game Boy titles, because I want to show off the Super Game Boy features, because there are some interesting ones. And we're going to start off with Donkey Kong Land, a game that I actually grew up with back in the day. In fact, some of these games I did have back in the 90s when I got my Game Boy Pocket. So, let's get this game going. Hopefully it works. First try. If it decides to work. And of course it decides it cannot be arsed. Great. Let's take two. But like I say, some of the games we're playing today are games that I did have back in the day. Unfortunately, Donkey Kong Land is having a bit of stage fright. Or is it the Super Game Boy itself? I can't tell. Maybe there's something up with the Super Game Boy, I don't know. Also, apologies for just how loud the Super Game Boy is turning on. Apparently, it decides it cannot be arsed today. It was working right before I started the stream, I swear. Maybe there's something wrong with the contacts, I don't know. Even though there really oughtn't to be. That's how you fix a Game Boy cartridge, by the way. Or a SNES cartridge, indeed. Yep, here we go. Let's get this working. Indeed. Okay, let's move the microphone a bit closer if it wants to work. There we go. Hopefully it's not too loud. Okay, can you hear the game audio? Are the volume levels good? So, yeah, you can see the Game Boy, or Super Game Boy in effect. You got this nice full-colour title screen, more or less. You know, Rambi, Donkey Kong, and Diddy. Because, you know, we haven't seen any Donkey Kong yet. We've seen Super Donkey Kong 3, but that's not a Donkey Kong game. It's basically a Kiddy Kong game. He's the only character in it, I think. I tried to flush my that game out of my memory after playing it. Especially the audio. But yeah, as you see, you go into the game and then it turns mono because limitations of the Super Game Boy. Also, yeah, Minesweeper doesn't have a Catboy or Catgirl, but it does have mines and sweeping of the mines. Here we go. Okay, so here's a bit of a problem. Now, like I say, this is my copy from back in the day, and I did used to have a save file on it. Unfortunately, some of these batteries do go bad over time, and my save file has basically, faded over time, so it's no longer on here. So, I'm only really going to be able to show the starting levels in this case, I think. Hold on, let me turn the game audio a bit, because it's a bit quiet on my end. There we go. Hopefully the game audio is okay. So, yeah, as I say, the title screen is full colour, but once you go into the game, it's monochrome. Because, yeah, that's just the way the Super Game Boy worked. Also, you may note the frame rate... Oh, oops. Yeah, I probably should have got a bit of practice in before I started playing this. Oh well. But, like I say, the frame rate is a little bit dodgy playing this on a Super Game Boy. I don't remember this really being a problem on the Game Boy Player. But as you see, the yeah, with the monochrome sort of graphics that you have during gameplay, and not to mention the color palette they chose, like they went for this kind of murky, like grayscale palette almost. Like there's almost no color on the screen at all. But hey, at least you get a good version of the soundtrack from Donkey Kong Country, if nothing else. They did do a good job on that. It's one thing you could always count on Rare to do. They always knew how to do good audio in these games. Even the bad games that I've looked at, games like... here we go. Go to the bonus level. As you see, it does have different colour palettes depending on where you are. Oh, is the game quiet? Hold on, let me turn that up. Okay, is that better? So I do want you to hear the game audio. But yeah, as you can see, they basically took... Oh, you bugger. Yeah, they took Donkey Kong Country and basically tried to put it on the Game Boy. Which is kind of admirable when you consider the type of game that, well, the Donkey Kong Country is. Also, yeah, there's a lot of bonus areas in this. So as you see, now we've got a far more blue colour palette because we're underwater. Also, yeah, you may hear the bonus music a lot playing through this game. Which is, yeah, in keeping with Donkey Kong Country, let's be honest. There we go, got the Kong letters. You also note, by the way, so there are certain differences. Firstly, yeah, you save after every level, which is something that you don't do in the SNES game. But I do appreciate the change. I never liked it in a lot of these old games where you can only save at specific points. It just felt kind of needlessly fussy to me. But yeah, you also notice, yeah, the heads-up display is different. Oops. The heads-up display is different. Yes, here's Diddy. And, obviously, the lack of colour. Well, I mean, that's unavoidable, considering the system it's on. It's just weird that they even attempted to do this. But it does kind of work, in an odd way. But having said that, I mean, graphically, this game is rough. Like this art style it really was not made for a monochrome... Oh, bugger. It really wasn't made for a monochrome screen, let's be honest. Here we go. Oh, no, missed the one-ups, great. Not that it matters, because I'm pretty sure the game's going to forget my save file as soon as I, as soon as I stop playing. Yeah, this does have a bit of a problem, where if you go near the edge of the platform, you fall off. I can't remember if it was the same on the SNES or not, it may have been. I don't remember, yeah, what edge detection was like on there. Edge detection? I thought that was like an image wing. But I would like to at least beat the first world, so I have... I've played this game in the past, so I didn't really grow up with Donkey Kong Country. I just didn't have the SNES games. I may have played Donkey Kong Country 3, like, very slightly. Also, you can really just grind out for lives here if you just keep dying on this bit, and just keep doing that over and over again. Also, yeah, the flying pigs. Nice little gag there. Also, yeah, you notice the screen does jerk about quite a bit. Like, whenever you turn... I think just so you can see what's coming ahead. That was a thing that happened a lot in, like, European-made games, from what I remember. Especially on handhelds. Ugh, okay. See, in a lesser game, I would have just fallen off the platform. But, I will say this. Art style-wise, it is pretty close to the SNES. Like, it is recognisable as a take on Donkey Kong Country. And certainly we have seen, worse games before. I mean, hell, you think of Sonic Blast on the Game Gear, on a system that had 4096 colours, and that game, honestly, I think looks worse than this. Like, that game just looked terrible. And yet this game, I mean, it doesn't look good either, but it's... For the hardware, you can at least excuse it to some extent. Also, I missed the O. But that's okay. Yeah, I mean, if you really want to grind for extra lives, you got the option. Can you backtrack levels? Yes, okay. Also, I don't remember what the exclamation mark means. I think that just means you beat the level. But, yeah, there are some things that I'm missing. I don't think, like, Candy or Funky Kong are in this. I'm not sure if all the animal helpers are in this. I can't remember. I mean, obviously, some of them are. But you also got the whole thing where you can't have both characters on screen at the same time. Like, the game just can't handle it. I assume just sprite limits more than anything. I do want to at least get to one of the proper sort of underwater levels. I don't remember how far into the game that is. I'm pretty sure it's in the first world, though. Also, yeah, I don't think for... well, how long... oops. For as long as I'm going to play this game, I'm really going to need to worry about getting extra lives all that much. Also, I think if you die, like, if you fall off the level, you actually do lose the other Kong. Even though I don't think you did in the SNES game. I think in that, it was only if they got hit that you lost them. But, you know, gameplay-wise, it's not far off. You know, certainly, there were a lot of, like... There was certainly a lot of bootleg Donkey Kong Country games on, well, mostly on the Famicom, but also on Game Boy, I think. So, Donkey Kong Land 3, or... No, sorry, Super Donkey Kong 3. Donkey Kong Land 3 is the official game. But yeah, Donkey Kong Land 3, which I played before, which is not as bad as you might think. It is surprisingly functional for a Macinsoft game, but it is still pretty rubbish, because it's a Macinsoft game, what do you expect? Obviously, yeah, suffice to say, this game's at least a little bit better than that. But you do have issues like this, where it can be kind of hard to make out what's going on. Like, I could barely see the bee. Or, what were they called? I don't remember. Like, my knowledge on Donkey Kong is minimal, as I've demonstrated in the past. But I have played this game, like I say. I've played it a fair bit. I've also played some of the original Donkey Kong Country, but I never beat it. Yeah, I never, like, finished the game or anything like that. Okay, here we go. So I guess you just gotta wait. Just gonna try not to get blindsided. Here we go. Yes, Donkey Kong Land 3... No, Super Donkey Kong Land... I'm getting the names mixed up. Yeah, Super Donkey Kong 3 was the Super Famicom version of Donkey Kong Country 3. But as I say, the Macinsoft bootleg was based on that Super Famicom game. Yeah, obviously this game is better than Panda Prince. Also, you unlock multiple routes, but I can only go the one route. I can't remember what you do to unlock the other ones. But here we go, we've got one of the nice pirate ship levels. Which is kind of weird, I don't remember these appearing so early in the original game. I don't know, maybe I'm misremembering. Like, I remember Donkey Kong Country 2, you start off on these levels, more or less. But not so much the original. And of course there were, you know, Donkey Kong Land sequels. I've never actually played them. I don't know how good they are compared to this original one. Oh, oops. You know, actually I was expecting to just kind of die there anyway, because I think this game has some weird mechanic where if you disappear off the screen, you instantly die. Even if there's a platform where you're about to land on, you'll just die. Which, I never liked that part of it. Just kind of felt like a cheap way to die. I know there are other games that do it. Like, the first Sonic game did it, but only... Well, you only ever got that through a bug. Like, it wasn't intentional. In this game, it's definitely intentional. I mean, it's... Let's be honest, it's a Rare game. Rare certainly knew how to be dicks when it came to designing their games a lot of the time. When they wanted to be. And honestly, I don't like a lot of Rare games. I do like the Donkey Kong Country games. Certainly the first one. I must admit I haven't played the sequels much. Like I say, I may have played a little bit of Donkey Kong Country 3 as a kid, but not much. So, I can't remember, was there any difference to playing as Donkey or Diddy in this? I know the, you got like the spin attack. Hold on, let me, no, okay, that didn't work. But I know if I fall down like a couple of platforms on this level, I just die. Again, even though there are plenty of platforms to land on, like below. But like, if I miss a jump off this rope, I just die. So you gotta really hold down the B button a lot. But that's kind of true to the original. Because that's just, gotta do all the running. But, yeah, we've got Rambi. I hope they have, what was the fish? The one with, like, the spiky fish that can stab everything. I forget its name, but, you know, the one... I was about to say Espresso, but no, that was the other one. That was the ostrich, wasn't it? I don't remember the names. I remember the Kong names, that's about it. But, how does this compare with the new Donkey Kong games? I haven't played that one. It's on the Switch 2, and I'm too poor to buy a Switch 2, and I'm also too much of a tight git. Also, yeah, you look at the... Oh. I don't remember what to... Oh, that's right, you get a bomb at the end of the level. So I think this leads to the underwater level? Let's try that. Oh, no, it's this level. Maybe, I may have meant to go on the other way. Oh, yeah, I forgot they walked off the platforms, don't they? I forgot about that. Though, actually, it's funny. I did recently play through Donkey Kong Country 4, the Hummer Team bootleg. And honestly, that game is not bad. Like, that game is actually, yeah, easily one of the better bootlegs you'll find on the Famicom. Surprisingly playable. Though there are certainly a few dickish levels thrown in towards the end. But, yeah, like, that one's missing some of the presentation. Like, again, you don't have the other Kongs beyond Donkey and Diddy. Like, they're just not in the game. And, you got, like, a password. Ooh, got password. Oh, you bastard! Yeah, you got a password system instead of like a save feature, but at least it has a way to continue, which you certainly couldn't do in some of the other bootlegs. Hold on, can you just hold the button down? No. No, it's like Mario rules. Oh, hold on. Let's go to the bonus area. Yeah, gotta get that N. But, yeah, obviously this game is at least a little bit better than Panda Prince. I mean, Panda Prince... Oh, you want a game that sets your ears on fire and not in a good way. Like, you just hear the like it's so beepy. It's like a Konisoft game, but worse. Or even a Macinsoft game, like it's comparable to that audio-wise, at points. Okay, we're gonna go get the timing down on this. Like that. I'm pretty sure you do get the tricky barrel sections like the original. I can't remember if this has the minecart levels. I think it does. Which is funny, because Donkey Kong Country 4 does not have the minecart levels. Which is arguably a good thing. Let's be honest. Arguably a good thing. Oh no, hold on. Can you save anywhere? I think this is one of the water levels, isn't it? It's hard to tell from the map. It's like... Okay, how is there, like a snow level right next to a jungle level? That's just odd. But we'll have a go on this level anyway. If I die here, I'll just move on to the other level. Because this level, I think, is just optional anyway. But, yeah, soundtrack is really good. They did it, as I say, Rare. They were always reliable when it came to doing really good audio on the Game Boy. And the games are always well programmed, generally. Whether or not they were actually fun to play is a matter of opinion, but, here we go. Oh, here we go. Yeah. This is where the barrels come into play. But that's okay, because I can just skip this level anyway. Yeah, it's a very, here we go, let's go up here for the bonus. Donkey Kong just flying through the air like the world's best, like, outfield throw. Saw one of those the other day, that was pretty cool. But, I want to at least do the first boss, if nothing else. So I feel like this game, Oh. Okay, so I was expecting to just, like, die then. I guess you have to fall pretty far for it to do that, though. I can't remember if the original SNES game does that. I don't think it does. But maybe the levels just have less verticality to them in that game. I don't remember them being all that vertical anyway. Donkey Kong Country 4 certainly is not. Like, yeah, there's not much vertical movement in that game. Yeah, I think you have to be completely off the screen. But here we go. Diddy in the house. Oh! And I died. Yeah, this is where we get a lot of the jumping tremblings, don't we? But hey, the thumbs up lets me continue from midway. Which is always good. Though, funnily enough, it starts me off at the K, which seems to suggest it's pretty early on in the level. Also, yeah, a lot of the sound effects are missing, like you... Oh. Yeah, so, like, you see what happened there, where, like, the screen just didn't scroll down, so I died? Yeah, the game does that on occasion. I don't know if that's a bug or not. It's hard to tell sometimes with this game. But fine, let's try not to fall off the rope. But, like, yeah, so, like, that time I went off the screen but didn't die. Like, the game's just weird like that. Because there was definitely a platform that where I fell off. Yeah, I have to hold down the B button to make this jump. I always forget how the ideal jump in this goes. It's like you... Okay, watch out for the snakes. Don't get killed by them. Ooh. Also, they respawn, apparently. Or some of them do. Okay, let's try to play at least somewhat carefully, so I don't just, like, die immediately. Oh, some of them just jump forwards. I thought they all jumped back and forth, unless maybe that was just a limitation of Donkey Kong Country 4, them conflating it with the original. Okay, I'll leave that just in case I need it. Also, yeah, I don't think this game has a score system. Not that it matters, but I don't think that's a thing. Oh, what? Okay, I did not touch that. I don't care what the game says. I'm calling shenanigans on the hitbox. But yeah, is that new Donkey Kong game any good? As I say, I don't have a Switch 2, and I'm too tight. I'm too tight-fisted to buy one. So, especially since, I mean, you know, the Switch 1 does everything I want. In terms of, like, anything that's remotely current, I just play that. Okay, well, at least they gave me a DK barrel immediately afterwards, because they knew I was gonna get hit. And apparently I can't go up this way. How do I do this? See, some of these areas you can't tell where the platforms are until you move all the way down. Very gingerly. Yeah, like that. I couldn't even see the enemy until I hit it. But, okay. But, okay, well, I'll, see you when you get back. And, take care, Otis. Hope you're doing okay. Okay, here we go. Oh! Yeah, that's the... Okay, did I not have Diddy Kong in reserve? You know, rewind the footage. Okay, I'm pretty sure I had Diddy Kong, and yet the game just decided to just kill me for no reason. Even though I was definitely... Even though I definitely did not die. Unless it was just some weird glitch with the camera, I don't know. I didn't have that problem with Super Donkey Kong 3 on Game Boy. I feel like that's one of those things that they fixed in the sequels. Like I want to say they improved the camera on those. Like I said, I haven't played them, so I don't know for sure. But yeah, like there was a DK barrel, right? Or no, maybe I did get hit right before. Oh, okay. I was reading the chat that time. Yeah, it's the thing with rare games, they always tend to be bastard hard. With very few exceptions. Like, you go back and actually play most of these games. But then, I mean, that's true just a lot of 8-bit and 16-bit games in general. A lot of them, well, you know, if you're not already, like, innately familiar with all the mechanics, you're going to be dying a lot. In most cases. Okay, here we go. Oh! Yeah, some of the enemies turn around. It's not always clear which ones turn around. Like, some of them will look exactly the same as enemies that do, but then some of them just don't. Like in Super Mario Brothers, you can distinguish them by the colour. Yeah, so this is where I died. So I definitely had the DK barrel. Hold on, just testing this out. Yeah, I guess that works. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, like the gap to jump through those is so small. Okay, here we go. I get the feeling if I turn around here, I'd die. So let's not die. I'm going to choose not to die. Just like in real life. You know, I haven't chosen to die yet. Okay, I'm trying to get up the thing. There we go. Great. It was like, oh, you gotta have all the... Oh, so. Yeah, I gotta go this way. Is there an enemy up here? I don't know what's up this bit. Oh, checkpoint, hooray. Take that. Also, yeah, those icons, you get 10 of them, you get an extra life. Is this the end of the level? Okay, well, it's not that. Oh, of course I have to make the jump. No! Okay. Or, as Donkey Kong would say, okay! That's the best part of Donkey Kong 64, is just the first couple minutes. With him saying okay, and also the DK rap. But is the DK rap Is it really on the same level as the holiday wrap? I'm not sure it is. Okay. I'm kind of thankful there wasn't just like some random gap there that I just fall through. There we go. As you see, 13% done with the game. Pretty good. Wait. Oh, yeah, that's right. So you go through... Yeah, this map is a little weird. So, that flashing thing next to the opening... So I went through that, and then I came out in this random mountain on the other side. This game is... I don't know, it's weird at times. Yeah, I've got to do more of this. Although, I know that this has a different colour palette to the other jungle levels, which is slightly odd. But whatever. I mean, I guess, to be fair, the SNES game kind of did that as well. Oh, come on, I hit that. Okay. Maybe... Oh. Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of a problem with Game Boy platforms in general. For a lot of these where they try to make them more console-esque in their design, a lot of the time you're just going to run into situations like that, where it's like, if you're not on the ground, you just can't see what's below you. Because you see how low the camera is a lot of the time. And it's like, well, I don't know where the enemies are, so I guess I just die. I'm just going to run past this bit. Okay, here we go. But yeah, that's kind of just a problem with like a lot of Game Boy platformers again. It's just not being able to see what's above or below you. I mean, seeing if I'm about to run into an enemy, I mean, that's not so much of a problem. It's just knowing if I can land on a platform or not. Or if I'm going to fall into an enemy and take damage. Wait. Okay, so why is there just like an invisible barrier on this bit? And, okay, let's try Diddy. I don't think this is going to work, but let's try it anyway. No. Well, I can get a few of the, yeah. Also, yeah, they did cut down the music tracks a little bit. Like, this song, I know, is meant to have a whole, like, second part to it that just isn't in this version. Okay, we'll go to the bonus area. Or, and by the bonus area, I just mean this weird bit. Thankfully, this game at least kept the checkpoint system. That's something that the Homer Team game did not do. Here we go, get G. And I think that's it. There we go. Well, I'm not saying Donkey Kong Country is bad by any means. Donkey Kong Country is fine. You know, certainly, I think one of the better platforms available on the SNES. Though, yeah, the minecart levels are not great. I did not miss them when I was playing the bootleg, I must say. But I hope you're doing well, Magnificent Scoops. I'm pretty sure you've been in this chat before. I don't know why it's saying you're a first-time chatter, because I do recognise the name. Here we go. Oh, that's right, yeah. You gotta do when it's pointing down. So naturally I'm going to do it when it's pointing to the left, like a pillar. Yeah, it's stuck on... Yeah, I cannot time this if my life depended on it. But hey, I've got like 15 one-ups. So, like I say, it is a shame that my save file on this doesn't seem to work anymore. Yes, JP has returned. JP cannot be stopped. Ooh. For a second I thought I was going to fall into a pit, but I did not. And also the return of Donkey Kong. And Diddy. Well, I assume Diddy's in the new game anyway. I have not been playing... Oh, come on! But yeah, I've not been paying too close attention. Also, yeah, you do get the occasional issue like that with the enemy placement. The enemy placement needed a bit of work, I would say. Like I say, I know that there are people who say that, what was it, like, the sequels to this game were a lot better. Or am I wrong? Have I been misinformed? Because I do remember that being kind of the consensus. You know, it's not like Sonic Advance, where like the first one was okay and then the sequels were bad. And I do know they're modelled off the respective console games. Yeah, so you gotta do it at the very apex of... Oh, every single time I do that. I mean, they're just designed for you to crash into them. But, it's okay. Yep, gotta get that time in. This is where the game tells you, yeah, you want to play this game, you gotta be competent. Okay, here we go. Although, the camera movement is not helping, especially in this bit, I gotta be honest. Like, it just... I don't know, it's got this weird kind of... Oh, oops. Okay, I didn't spot the barrel in time. I think if I was playing this on the Game Boy actually, this may actually be slightly better, just because... Oh, okay, I skipped a barrel there, that was cool. But, yeah, it would probably be better just because I could, give the sprites a different colour to the background. I never liked these bits. There we go. You gotta concentrate. You know what's really funny? There actually is a port of Donkey Kong Country on the Game Boy Color. I don't know if it's any good. I've never played it. I remember it looking kind of rough graphically, though. Which is kind of funny, because, I mean, that's, you know, full color, and yet still doesn't look great. Like, it looks better than this, just because at least, you know, everything isn't, like, the same color palette. Yeah, so you know, just like this one jumps back and forth. But like other Kremlings all will just keep moving forwards. Yeah, Rare did make this in-house. I mean, you can tell just by the general feel. Like, this has the feel of a Rare game. So I think this is the boss level, isn't it? But a different boss fight to what you got on the original. Because in that one you had to fight, was it Naughty? Here you just fight a flying manta ray. So I don't remember this in the SNES game. Ugh, okay. Here we go. Yeah, get the pattern down. Ugh, what am I doing? Playing with slop. Also, that looks like I should have gotten hit, but I did not. The game decided to be charitable. There we go. What? Okay, I don't remember that bit. But here we go. Welcome to World 2, where we actually get some different level themes. So, as you see, we've got the temple levels now. Ugh. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you missed the jump. That's it. Boom! It's always fun to do. Also, I'm pretty sure this is not the music that normally goes with these levels, or certainly some of them anyway. It's meant to be like a bit more atmospheric. I guess like some of the more atmospheric tracks just didn't make it onto the soundtrack for this one, because they probably just couldn't remake it properly. You know, Game Boy sound hardware, it's great, but it has its limitations. You know, trying to do SNES audio on this. Though it's kind of funny, I mean, they could have used the SNES's sound chip with the Super Game Boy, because that function did exist, but from what I remember, very few games actually used it. Like, I think a couple of Thtouch games used it, but of course, those are Thtouch games, so who gives a toss? I think Donkey Kong 94 also uses it, or at least that's what I've been told. So I'm going to take that as... I'm going to take people's word on it, because I've played that game a little bit, but I never played it with the Super Game Boy features. So I'm not... Oh, yeah, but not certain on that. I'm no expert on Donkey Kong 94. Like I said, I've played it a little bit. Ooh. Okay, I'm surprised I got away with that, but okay. Here we go. So yeah, very subdued colour palette. But that's kind of most of this game. As I say, I mean, the title screen, playing this on the Super Game Boy, I mean, the title screen is the best looking part of the game, so it's the only part that's in full colour. And the rest of it just kind of isn't. Ooh. Okay, let's not die to that. There we go. You give this game three asterisks out of 5. Okay. I do at least want to show off one of the water levels. I'll do, like, the next couple levels. Ah, here we go. Yeah, give me that soundtrack. Yeah, like I say, a lot of the more atmospheric tracks I don't think made it into this game. Also, yeah, having enemies hidden behind the foreground. Thanks, Rare, appreciate it. But yeah, then you get tracks like this, and it's like, ooh. Hold on. I know one of these holes with the enemies in. I know there's at least one that leads to a bonus area. And there's this one with the O. Yeah, let's just go for that. Oh, I think I missed the K. Oops. Donkey Kong. Is it like the ending to Golden Axe? Because that would be amazing if it is. Hold on, let me switch to Diddy, because I think he may have a smaller hitbox. I don't remember for certain. Whoa. Here we go. Yes, we are on. Hold on. No, there's definitely a bonus area down there. Oh, no, it's not a bonus area. It's just a Kong battle. Well, I've got both Kongs anyway. But, so like I said at the start of the stream, so the focus has shifted a bit. Now we're just going to cover just any game that got a standalone release. That I have in my collection. There's a whole bunch of games that I have, like the actual cartridges for, that I want to cover, and I don't have them on any Pirate Multicarts. But I'm going to assume all of them probably found their way onto Pirate Multicarts at some point. It's just that they're not on the ones that I've got. So, Donkey Kong Land, for instance. I don't have this on a Pirate Multicart, and yet I've got a shitty, like, Macinsoft bootleg. Okay, that was just bad judgment on my part. Wait, they have 9-inch nails? Okay, I do not remember that. Is it in this game, or is it the SNES one? I can't remember. Like, I do remember Resna from Super Mario World, at least. Okay, what is this level? Yeah, this is the song I'm thinking of. Oh. I don't know if you've ever heard the Panda Prince version of this song. It is it's a work of beauty, but in the complete opposite way. But actually, this level doesn't. Wait, I can swim through this. Is this like a bonus area? I can avoid this thing. Yeah, bonus area get. For a second I thought it was just like a collision bug, but no, that is intentional. Okay. But, yeah. I do think this is probably my favourite song in the game. Like, I wanted to play up to this bit just to hear this song, to be honest. Got this on the pre-stream soundtrack. The pre-stream playlist, let's call it. Because, I'll tell you this, the Donkey Kong Country games, I mean, regardless of what you think about them as games, they got some top quality soundtracks, you know. Like, I'm not a huge SNES fan, honestly, but some games on it have really good soundtracks. Okay, that's saved there. Wait, did I lose both Donkey and Diddy, and then, like, as it was doing the death animation? No, because I'm pretty sure I did have both. Anyway, I'll probably switch this off in a minute, because there are other games that I want to take a look at. Oh, here we go. Another. No, is this a bonus area? No, okay, that was a bug. Here we go. Go through the ocean floor. It's like playing Sharks on Action 52. It's like, ground doesn't exist. Okay, get that thumbs up. We are on again. No, there's nothing there. Ugh. Okay, I don't know what I was doing there. Okay, well, I think that will do for Donkey Kong Land on the Game Boy. But where does it go on the list? Well, first thing to do, let's compare this to Super Donkey Kong 3 on the Game Boy, the Macintosh game. Well, Super Donkey Kong 3, the graphics are a little easier to decipher in that game. Yeah, they're a bit more clear. And that's the one thing it has over this game. On every other conceivable level, it is inferior. You know, Donkey Kong Land, better audio, better cartridge, because it comes in a nice yellow cartridge. Better levels, far more content, a save feature, if your battery still works. Yes, shout out to Quark, KWARQ, on Twitch for making this template. I did download and customize it a bit. And as I say, I did get permission. So, shout out to them for creating this template. As you see, I did alter it a bit so I could add the buffer zone and a few other things. But, yes. But, no, obviously this is better than Super Donkey Kong 3. It's better than Versus Battler. It's better than the Game of Harmony. It's definitely better than Paperboy. It's also better than Vex Block, which is basically, basically the poor man's Clax. It's definitely better than Dragon Slayer 1. Maybe if it was Dragon Slayer 2, there would be some real competition, but not Dragon Slayer 1. At least not the Game Boy version. I know that there are meant to be other versions that are far better, and do look to be far better from what I've seen. But, yeah, I'd say it's better than Daedalian Opus, or Dead Alien, whatever you want to call it. So it is a top 100 game. It's better than Alleyway. It's better than that jank version of Street Fighter 2. It runs at a far better frame rate. And I think the audio is better as well. It's better than A-Force Armor Force. It's better than Hyper Load Runner. I like Load Runner, but I don't like this version of it as much as some of the other ones. It's better than Super Mario 7, or Adventure Island 3, whatever you want to call it. It's better than the Japanese version of Clax. It's better than DuckTales, because it's a weird version of DuckTales. Is it better than Yars' Revenge, The Kotile Ultimatum? Because that was a Game Boy Color remake of Yars' Revenge, and it certainly has better graphics than the original game. But at the same time, I feel like that game lost some of the charm of the original, and there were definite issues with the screen being cropped to fit the limitations of the screen resolution. And I think that probably hits Yars' Revenge worse than it does the average platformer on the Game Boy. And Donkey Kong Land, you know, it has its own levels. It's not just a straight remake of the SNES game. So I think it's better. It's better than Adventure Island 2. I think it's got better audio. And, you know, Adventure Island 2 kind of just feels like I could just play the NES version of the game and it would be a little bit better overall. But I think about like just the occasional sort of cheap hits or cheap deaths that the game has, where you're like, they probably could have done this a little bit better, maybe just done another pass at the level designs and enemy placements. It's like there's a slight lack of polish that maybe holds it back from going much higher up this list. Like, I definitely would not put this on the level of Gargoyle's Quest. I don't think it's as good as that. And I don't think it's as good as Second Space. Like, Second Space was basically, let's do Amidar on the Mega Duck, and then later the Game Boy. And it was a very good take on it. So I'd say it's our new number 39. Yeah, Donkey Kong Land, officially a top 40 game. I think it's pretty good. But what about another lad who has been in the press lately, who has been catching people's attention? Yes, I am talking about the legend, Superman Thtouch, everyone's favourite. So let's go over the story of Superman Thtouch. Yes, Saturn beat Rare with one game. Saturn actually has a lot of games on this list, and most of them are far lower. Second Space is the one real standout, in a good way. So, yeah, the story to Superman Thtouch is the United States 20th Century Free, a science fiction hero of artistic of 10 year on behalf ends. He have the brains of the strong physique, intellect, and the docile's mind. Should say the American's hero, doctrined to get in the Superman body sufficient explain, but different is, the Superman is a friend to be used as world people. Hegemony image that emergence of, covet the contemporary field, the police, with the United States government totally different. And I do the original intention of this main page to also not think the spread of the United States culture, but want to call the hero in this ages of hero want for. Thank you ages for producing Superman Thtouch. And unfortunately this is not the version I have, though I'm pretty sure it's the same ROM. This is the one I have. This is a Superman for Super Game Boy. Super Game Boy for a Superman. Oh, oops. Okay, let's see if I can get this working. Superman on! Nope, it's not even going to attempt it. Great. I demand you to function, Super Game Boy! There we go. So, from one Super Game Boy game to another. Also, yeah, you'll note the custom borders in these games. So here we go. Superman from Titus. Truly, there has never been a better team-up in history. Superman and Titus. Yes, Superman Thtouch I'm pretty sure is real. It's not the version I have, but it is a real version. But here we go, from DC Comics. Titus, your seal of quality. But yes, here we go. I forgot about this title screen. Just, I mean, you compare the Donkey Kong Land title screen to this. Like, there isn't even a title. I mean, I guess it says Superman on the top. Yeah, there's some some real competition for Rob Liefeld, this title screen. Yeah, it's like the title screen it's literally black and white, like there isn't even any grey. Like, they couldn't even colour in the Superman logo. And, like, what even is this soundtrack? It's like... Oh, God. It's like if Raid tried to remix the Superman theme. But, okay, here we go. Honestly, I love the colour palette. It's like, you know what? We're just going to make it look like... We're going to use the power of the Super Game Boy to make it look like you're playing this on a dot matrix Game Boy circa 1989. But here we go. You hear a call for help, but it is a trap. Defeat the Shadow Walkers. You have 4 keys to find. Also, surely there should be a full stop in there somewhere. They just couldn't be bothered to put a full stop in the graphic set. But here we go. Ready, stage 1. Okay, here we go. Oh god, why are the controls so slippery? It's slipperier than the last game, if you can, you know, like a game that had like actual momentum to it. So what is this background? It's meant to be Metropolis or Gotham City. There we go, just getting shot at by random dudes with snipers for some reason. So what are these meant to be? Are these just grenades just floating in the sky? Oh no! Lex Luthor has set off to stop Superman with his army of flying grenades and men with rifles. You know, the classic Superman villain, man with rifle. My favourite. Also, yeah, if you touch a grenade, it's just like, no, just flashes over and over, and then you go to your... you go... Oh, wait, hold on. No, the V's and the Y's look exactly the same, almost. Vous go to recover Vor energy at the Fortress of Solitude. Yeah, the camera is just like the previous game, but worse. Also, yeah, you got 6 credits to beat the game, I guess. But yeah, also you have to kill enemies to get keys, but the game doesn't tell you which enemies have keys. So here's the thing, you can punch the bullets, but you have to be like standing in the line of fire for them to shoot back. This is kind of like... It's kind of like the RoboCop game if it was made by Titus. Also, yeah, good luck not getting hit. But yeah, like, really the trick is just punch the bullets. But of course the bullets are so fast, good luck doing it consistently. Yeah, you have to be standing in the right spot for them to do it. Yeah, like, if you're not standing in the exact spot, they won't shoot you. Yeah, remember in RoboCop where you had a gun? It's just making me wish I was playing the RoboCop game. That's the best part of the game. It reminds me a bit of the Hokuto no Ken game for, what was it? For the Famicom. Also, yeah, Fortress. You know, it's really funny. So, obviously, we all know that Titus made the Nintendo 64 Superman game. What's funny about that game, so people usually refer to it as Superman 64, but the real title is... The real title is not Superman 64, it is The New Superman Adventures. And I'm going to exclusively refer to it by that title from now on. Okay, I think I figured out the strategy. I think as long as I'm doing the punch animation, it will hit back. And I think that's the secret. Just keep mashing B whenever they shoot. There we go. So this is the annoying thing. So you've got to get 4 keys to beat the level, but the game doesn't tell you... It's like they're in specific enemies, but no indication is given as to which enemies have the keys in them. Like, and there's this one just floating in the air. But yeah, the trick is just mash the B button and you're fine. I actually did beat this game once for the record. I don't know why, but I did. So I know what the later levels in this game are like. I won't necessarily play them, but I know what they're like. Oh, are you all enjoying this song? Anyway, here we go. As you watch over Metropolis, The invaders begin their attack. You have 2 keys to find. Here we go. Ready, stage 2. Okay, let's go. Yeah, well done, Titan. You know what? This is already the best game I've ever played in my life. You have quit the fight. Yes, 1 second in, Superman decided to just drop out of the sky and just give up. Yeah, I did remember that that was a thing. I just forgotten that, like, it instantly starts out with you falling off the level. So, okay, let's remember that. Okay, so in order to not quit the fight, we have to hold down the A button. Wait! Oh, also, yeah, if you pause the game, it, like, flashes the background. I'm actually going to avoid doing that so I don't, yeah, I'm going to avoid doing that so I don't give anyone seizures, because, yeah, great. So he gets shot once and decides, yeah, I'm not going to bother. Yeah, I'm like, you know what, like, Batman can just come in and do it. That's a real classics of game movement. Also, note the fact that the first time that the level started, it started me off the platform and, like, just falling off instantly. And in this, also I do apologise, I did have to censor links. I may actually re-enable them. You just give me a second. In the meantime, please amuse yourself with this screen. Okay, let's okay, try posting that again. It may work this time because I've just got like a regulation thing going on. So, like I say, real classics of game moment, but also just the fact that the first time it spawned me off the platform as soon as the level started. But then, like, the other times it spawned me on the platform, which is just bizarre. Okay, so I think as long as I avoid the bottom area of the level, I should be okay. But I will say this, the background actually isn't too bad, considering, like, there's a fair amount of detail to it. Certainly cleaner looking than Donkey Kong Land, if nothing else. Also, yeah, you don't have any, you don't have, like, laser vision or X-ray vision or any of the other cool Superman abilities. He has the ability to fly and that's it. Like, he can fly and he can punch things. Oh, also... no, I tried to collect the key and he went through it. There we go. Yeah, thankfully, it's not a case of you missed a key, so you have to quit the level. But, okay, here we go. Investigate LexCorp warehouse and battle the Lexoscale 5000. Great. Also, yeah, from what I remember, you never actually see Lex Luthor in this. I don't think he ever appears in the game. In fact, I don't think any of the, like, main Superman villains appear in this. Also, yeah, you can't climb ladders, you just float past them. Also, I don't remember how you get past these things. I think it's just, yeah, you can just float through them and pray. Thankfully, it doesn't, like, damage you if you touch the edge or anything, so it could be worse. Is this meant to be, like, a remix of the Superman theme? I genuinely can't tell. There we go. Again, as long as you mash B, generally you're fine. Ugh, no! Oh, wait, I can just do this and not die. Hooray! Really, it's just getting constantly hit by bullets. I was like, did that enemy just appear out of nowhere? I couldn't even tell. Okay, don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Off? No. No, I can't switch it off. I guess I'm supposed to be on then. I don't remember what I'm supposed to do here. Like I say, I have beaten this game, so I know you can get past this. It's like the world's worst Bubble Ghost level. So I think I just backtrack here, don't I? Ugh, he'll let me. Oh, you suck. Okay, so now I've got the keys. Hold on, did I have to get the other key to get past that? Or am I actually just supposed to go back to the start of the level? Superman lightly grazes a floating grenade and then dies. Great. So here we go, stage 3, let's do it. Of course you can't punch them in the air. I do remember, what was it, Proton John, when they did the... What was it? When they did a Let's Play of Superman 64. They actually did... I say they, because I don't actually remember the current pronouns, I gotta be honest. Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, so you've got to get the keys, and then you got to go to this top left corner of the level. I remember that. There we go. So I've got to get both keys, I've got to switch the thing on. And then you go back. Oh, wait, I forgot the gems give you health back. I do at least want to show off the boss. Because, it's a real gem, if you haven't seen it. So we go backtrack. Try to do all this. Yes, I was going to say, because I remember, like, it changed in some way, but I wasn't certain. So, hope is doing good. Ugh! Okay, here we go. But, yeah, I was going to say, doesn't this thing still come on? Okay, it does. But yeah, they actually did do a full, Let's Play of this within the Superman 64 Let's Play. Oh, sorry, the new Superman Adventures Let's Play. Let's call it by its real name. You know, the classic game, the new Superman Adventures. And I do know that both that game and this are based on the cartoon show. The, like, as in the Superman cartoon that was in the late 90s. Does this thing have... No, I think I have to activate a switch, don't I? Maybe, I don't actually remember. What am I supposed to do? See, this is always a faff, when it's like, oh, we have to do some extra hidden objective in the game that we don't tell you about. Like, also, like, he's fucking Superman, like, you can't just fly through the thing. I mean, I guess that's the issue with making a Superman game, but, yeah, this was not the right solution. Making it so that he can only punch is... Yeah, that's not how to make a Superman game, I've got to be honest. I'm just saying, is all. Seriously, what am I supposed to do here? Because I remember beating this before, but I don't remember... I don't remember what the game requires you to do, because I know you have to switch that thing on. Hello, Electric Boogaloo, how you doing? Yeah, you just switched on to me attempting to play Superman. Oh no, can I not draw over the screen? Oh, wait, what? Hold on, what's going on? You know, I'm going to turn this into a work of art. So firstly, I'm going to... Wait. I don't know why I'm doing this. But you know what? This is, like... in a way, is more functional than the game is. There we go. I am ready to touch the Superman. Oh no, don't tell me I crashed it. How do I get back into the game? Oh no, don't tell me doing this broke the game. Ah! And not pause the game by accident. Oh, wait, I can... Okay, so I guess I accidentally replaced the Superman border with Thtouch the... You know, this is the best use of the Super Game Boy that anyone has ever had. Okay, here we go. So the boss is up here somewhere. Okay, now watch this. Yeah, get ready for the best boss fight you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. Superman unveils his true power to repeatedly punch this thing. And that's it. Oh, also you collect a key and then win the level. Hold on. Is this not the end of the level? Like, this door? No, the door is not the end of the level. Instead, you gotta do this. Also, I don't know how you turn this border off. Maybe it just loads the custom border when you start the game. Well done, Thtouch the Superman. The secret passage leads to the sea. Dive into the unknown. You have... See, that time they put full stops at the end of the sentences, but not on some of the other levels. Like, it's just very inconsistent. It's like they didn't know how the English language worked. Or just language in general. Oh, I remember this. Yeah. Oh, you thought the Donkey Kong game looked rough? Okay, yeah, this is infinitely worse. Like, what is this graphic effect? It's like they saw that underwater graphic effect in Sonic and was like, oh yeah, we can do that. Except it ended up like this. Also, why is Superman going around fighting sharks anyway? Oh yeah, fuck the sea life. They're holding my keys hostage. Yeah, Superman, a man who famously hates all sea life. But God, like, seriously, you compare this with the water level that I was just playing in Donkey Kong Country. You didn't really have any water effects like this, and probably for good reason. And, like, there were, you know, Sonic games on Game Gear that had water levels that, again, looked way better. It's like, oh! It's like I'm having a hallucination. Okay, I think I made it. Nope, this is not the end of the level. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. Okay, where is the exit? It's probably on the bottom somewhere. Because, you know, getting out the exit via the surface is too conventional for Titus. Oh. God, you want to talk about a graphic effect that can make you physically ill? This is getting up there. Also, yeah. So you don't need to collect all the keys to beat the level necessarily. You just need to collect enough. So at least there's that. It's okay. Superman with his power to fist fuck a shark. But, like, I'm sorry, look at this effect. And then overlay it with this effect. Oh God, it really is a worse version of Touch for us to get dizzy. But, okay. Fight the invaders while flying to investigate an alien spacecraft that is approaching Metropolis. You have 2 keys to find. Great. So what even... I don't remember these other levels. Like I said, I did beat these levels. Again, I think there are 10 levels and that's it. But I don't remember what the rest of them are like. So this is clearly just stage 2 again, but with more enemies. Ugh. Oh. No, and I died. Yes, that is approaching Metropolis. What's approaching it? That is approaching it. Okay, well, last credit. Let's see if we can beat this one. Okay, so this time it doesn't start scrolling immediately like the other level did. Like, that one just starts off immediately. This one, it waits until you press one of the buttons. Which is really weird that they couldn't just do it the same way on both levels. Especially when this looks to just be level 2 again, but with different enemy placement. But, okay, here we go. Also, yeah, I think you can get extra credits, but, yeah, it's kind of whatever, really. So here we go. 2 keys to find. Yep, we did it. Yeah, Superman, yeah, he's just getting all the keys. He's like, here you go, Lois Lane, here's your key. I didn't want to tear down your door to let you access your house. Okay, I wasn't actually paying attention to what that said. Oh, yeah, this is the maze level. I remember this. It's like this, and I think level 9? Here we go, Superman just fights the aliens, I guess. I mean, what the aliens have to do with anything, I don't know. Because, I mean, we were fighting Lex earlier, and now we're just fighting aliens. Like, did we beat Lex? And he's just like, yeah, he gave up. Much like Superman did on the second level. Oh, I forgot these enemies can shoot. Oh. Also, apparently, the bullets that hit the enemies, it can only hit the enemy that shot the bullet, because it went right through that one. So, yeah, like, I never understood why so many of these Superman games, they were like, we're gonna give you, like, a punch attack and that's it. Like, the Mega Drive game does the same thing. I know you get different abilities on different levels in that game, but it's like... just the sheer disgust of that first level, you wouldn't even bother playing to level 2. You're like, no, I'm not gonna bother with this. No, Superman put his fist on the back of an alien and started blinking the end. You know what? Yeah, that's a good one. To touch the game over. And what is with Superman's face? It's like they really couldn't have used any kind of like grayscale, like a couple shades of grey to maybe help with the rendering. Anyway. So that is Superman for the Game Boy. So where does it go on this list? Well, I cannot say I was not entertained. And, well... is it as good as Donkey Kong Land? I mean, it certainly had the funnier deaths. You know, like, in Donkey Kong Land, when you fall off the screen, it doesn't just come up with a screen that says, you have quit the fight. If it did, I think, you know, it would be a contender for the top 10. But I don't think that's enough to save Superman from being below Donkey Kong Land on this list. You know, it's certainly not as good as Pinball Revenge of the Gator. Yeah, that's fine. I do not choose the ads. If I chose them, you would only see Barry Scott and the Frosties Kid all day, every day. It is definitely not as good as Yu Yu Hakusho Dai Yondan. It's not as good as Miner 2049er. Definitely not as good as Mega Man 2. Like, Mega Man 2... I mean, the audio in that game might be worse, but it's a far more competent game otherwise. It's not as good as Worm Visitor. I mean, Worm Visitor is the most swag worm you will ever see in your life. Superman cannot compare with his fashion statements. It's not as good as Othello. Othello might be dull for me personally, but like I at least get the appeal of it. And it's definitely not as good as Racing Damacy, so it's not a top 100 game. It's not as good as Zip Ball. It's definitely not as good as Duck Adventures. I mean, that game has a duck in it. There's no duck in Superman. I think that's where they were going wrong the whole time. It's not as good as Bubble Bobble. The Bubble Bobble conversions on the Game Boy aren't very good. You have a serious problem with just not being able to see what's going on around you. But they had better audio, better controls. So it's not as good as that. It's not as good as Wizards and Warriors Chapter X, Fortress of Fear. It's definitely not as good as David Beckham Soccer. You know, gameplay-wise it may be a contender. But you also think, you know, David Beckham Soccer is the definitive bio of David Beckham circa 2001. You want to know about David Beckham, you play that game, you'll know who David Beckham is. Mario and Yoshi is dull, but it's still better than this. It's not as good as Castlevania The Adventure. Is it better than Mega Man 3? I mean, Mega Man 3 had far better presentation, just overall. The problem with Mega Man 3, and the reason why it's so low on this list, I just fucking hated the level designs. They're way too long, there's not enough checkpoints. Some of the levels are just downright hellish to play, in my opinion. And yet, that game is still better than this. I mean, the combat in Superman is really bad. Because you're really just reliant on, like, trying to punch bullets back at the enemies who shot them. And it doesn't work all that well. Like, the timing is just way too strict. So, you just end up taking tons of hits. The boss fights barely exist. That 4th level with the water effect looks horrendous. You know, that's one of the few games I can imagine, like, making someone physically ill from playing it. And I think that puts it below Digimon 024. It also puts it below Bart Simpson's Escape from Camp Deadly. Because that game didn't offend my senses, certainly visually, the way that this game does. And it's a worse use of the license. Like, you really don't see much Superman in this. You know, like, Superman... It's got this weird outline around him the whole time, maybe to make it look clearer, but it just doesn't work graphically. And, oh, here we go. Thank you for the clipping, by the way, I appreciate it. But, yeah, it's a worse use of the license, because at least the Simpsons game more resembles the Simpsons show aesthetically a little bit. You know, it does bear a striking resemblance to the Camp Krusty episode with Mr. Black. You know, it's at least got that going for it. You got Lisa, you got Mr. Burns. This game, you've got Superman, and a really nerfed version of Superman. Like, he can only punch and fly, and that's it. That's all he can do. And punch bullets back at people. That's all he can do. It's like, there's no laser vision, there's no X-ray vision, you know, there's no, like, lifting massive objects above his head. Like, there's nothing cool like that. And I think that's really what puts this game as low on the list as it is. Because, like I say, it's worse than Escape from Camp Deadly. Escape from Camp Deadly is terrible, but it's better than this. But I can't put it much lower, because, you know, if nothing else, at least Superman is funny. Like, there are games near the bottom that make me want to die. Like, no way is this game worse than F1 Race. F1 Race is so much worse than this. Because at least Superman makes me laugh. F1 Race makes me want to die, so it's not worse than that. It's worse than NFL football. Because NFL football may be a better game with a second player. The single-player game is terrible, but it's probably better with a second player. Well, Superman is hard to design a video game for. The Atari 2600 game is pretty good, but everything after that, not so much. But yeah, this is worse than NFL football. It's not worse than Primitive Princess, because that game is so dull and tedious just for being so slow. And just with a lot of bullshit, like, deaths from, like, invisible platforms, or rather platforms you fall through. Superman at least doesn't have that problem. It's not worse than Amazing Spider-Man 2. I would rather play this than Radical Rescue. But Radical Rescue certainly has much better presentation. Certainly audio-wise, at least. But, I don't know, like, both Superman and Ninja Turtles 3, both games make a terrible use of the license. Like, you think of the Ninja Turtles in Turtles 3, they're all exactly the same character. Their attacks are functionally the same. There are no ranged attacks or anything cool like that. Like the beat-em-ups, they all have different, like, sets of attacks. Or, like, what is it? tournament fighters. You know, like, they knew how to do that for the different characters. They knew how to differentiate them. And they threw all that out the window for Radical Rescue. And the combat in that game is miserable. The combat in Superman is also miserable, but Superman, like... Superman is better than Radical Rescue. It's barely better, but it is still better. Granted, that does still put it as the 10th worst game. Above the buffer zone. But at least... Yeah, I think 172, that's a good spot for it. So let's play a Land of Contrasts. So the next game I'm going to play, this is another game that I didn't have back in the day. If I can find the box. Where did I put the box? Ah, here it is. Okay, I've actually got just like a ton of Game Boy games in this box. And the next one I'm going to pick out, this one's going to be a doozy. If I can find it. Where is my copy of it? It's not RoboCop, because that's not a Super Game Boy game, and I mean, I have tried covering that one anyway. Okay, the next game... Space Invaders. Now, we have looked at Space Invaders before, the Japanese release of the game. However, this version is completely different. So, let's see what this one's like. Actually worked first try. So, thanks, Space Invaders. I don't have Play Action Football. I don't think that even got released in Europe, but I've certainly never played it. I'm just going by the games that I have in my collection. Yeah, you really don't want to play the games below the buffer zone. Like, those are the games that don't even work. Like, they don't even function as they're supposed to. But, here we go. Space Invaders. We select the mode. I should point out, it is cut off on my TV as well. That's not an issue with the stream layout. So we've got Super Game Boy and Arcade. Well, we'll try Super Game Boy first. And go from there. So here we go. Space Invaders. Well, so far looks pretty similar to the Japanese version. However... we get this option. So we've got black and white with cellophane and colour. Well, black and white is pretty much just going to be the same as the Japanese version. We've seen that already, so we'll go for the cellophane mode. Now, like I say, the limitations, or should I say the colour capabilities of the Super Game Boy are very limited. However, you could do the cellophane-like effect on the screen, because it basically... it's kind of like a post-processing effect. It essentially puts a post-processing effect on the screen. Like, it overlays the colours over the gameplay. So it's not like the Game Boy Color, where, you know, you can put the colours wherever you want. But like I say, it's good for this kind of cellophane effect, at least. Also, yeah, the enemies get really aggressive. The fact that their missiles can shoot at yours half the time... it was just, I never really liked that. Yeah, there we go. But, yeah, since I'm playing the Super Game Boy, and since I have this game in my collection, I felt it necessary to cover this one. Because, I mean, really, the Super Game Boy was a very, I would say, underutilized peripheral in terms of what it offered. And very few games really did much with it. And this is arguably the best use of the Super Game Boy. And it kind of makes me sad that there weren't more arcade games like this that found their way onto the Super Game Boy. There were Game Boy recreations of some really early arcade games. Games like, what's it, Hey Q Alien, for instance. Like, there was a recreation of that on the Game Boy. Unfortunately, because that game was released in 1990, it predates the Super Game Boy and therefore, yeah, doesn't have those features. And like I say, even the Japanese version of this game was also released in 1990, and therefore, again, you don't get these features with it. Like, it's just, you play that version on the Super Game Boy, it's more or less the same as playing it on a regular Game Boy. Here we go, just nice game, Space Invaders. Ooh, ah! There we go. See, my skills haven't completely deserted me in my in my time away, just mostly. Oh. But as you see, like it's actually a very good version of Space Invaders. It plays really well. And I've missed it. Great. I do love the sounds of the classic Space Invaders as well. There we go. I have actually played the Game Boy version of Battlezone. It is a really good version, but it's really weird. So I don't have the cartridge, but like I said, I have played that. But yes, spoilers if I ever do get to ranking it, because like I say, it's not in my collection. It's basically a 2-in-1 cartridge. It has Battlezone and it has what was the other game? I think it was Super Breakout. And weirdly, the Battlezone port is far better than the Super Breakout one. Even though, with the limitations of the Game Boy, you would expect the complete opposite. But no, the Battlezone conversion is the good one. Which is bizarre. And I don't know how it works. Also note that they are starting lower down the screen, which, yeah, I mean, that's consistent with the original game, isn't it? I did actually... I remember going to a convention last year when I was visiting America. And they did have... It was like the Bronze Age tournament. And, yeah, suffice to say, Space Invaders was among the games there. You also had things like the Stunt Bike game. Oh, okay, I'm amazed I even got that. There we go. But yeah, but yeah, like I said, I remember the Super Breakout conversion being quite poor. Which again is a shame, because the Battlezone one is great. Ooh. You know, I remember there being like some weird strategy in this. It was the, what was it called? The Nagoya shot? Because it was found by someone in Nagoya, I think. There we go. Oh. Yeah, we're going full Game Boy killer now. Ooh. I mean, it's kind of funny. The base game really is not far off the Japanese version. Like, you remember the Japanese version of Space Invaders on Game Boy? Which is a good version, to be fair. It's perfectly fine. It's just, again, it's missing features that you would find in this release. Yeah, let's try shooting the right... I'm surprised I haven't died yet, actually. Usually I'd have, like, gotten game over by this point. See if I can get some, like, 5,000 points. That would be cool. Ah! Yep, right after I say it. Always the streamer's curse. Well, actually, the streamer's curse is just the game not wanting to load up at all. But, yeah, you see how aggressive the enemies get by this point. Mohawk and headphone jack, everyone's favourite. Except for anyone who's played it. Ah! Well, I can't really avoid that, can I? Yeah, you see just how aggressive they get by the time you get to this point. Yep, got to barely survive. And I'm not even going to go for the alien, the UFO. No! Ugh! Okay, 4,200 points. Okay, can I do it? Okay, we made it. Round 6, let's go. You know, I've played a fair few conversions of Space Invaders on different consoles. I always really liked the Atari 2600 version. Obviously, not all that accurate to the original, but plays very well in its own right. Like, it's a very good take on Space Invaders, like, different, but maybe not quite on par with this version, I would have said, but still cool. Okay, I want to see if I can get to 5,000 points. That's my challenge for today. But I'm going to do it the hard way. But you know, it's kind of funny. Some of these old school games of this era actually do hold up pretty well, I think. Yeah, there we go. Round 7, let's go. couldn't get it. Yeah, I'm going to be the new Danny Curley at this rate. Yeah, right. Yeah, find me on the streets of Crumpsall or whatever, wherever pro gaming tournaments are held. Ugh. No, I'm not going to last much longer, I don't think. Oh, you sod! I shot you when the game wasn't counting it. Okay. I remember in the Famicom version of this, if you beat round 8, it would just start up Space Invaders Part 2, which is really weird, and I don't understand that. I wasn't even aware of that until Random Stranger's video on it. There we go. Round 8, here we go. Here we go. Oh, you bastard! There we go. Ugh! There we go. 5950. Beat that. Okay, well, we'll quickly try this again in the colour mode. So, as you can see, far better use of the Super Game Boy than good old Superman there. Oh, also, here we go. I like this bit. Come on, short, Mr. Space Invader. Yeah, there we go. Also, yeah, for the record, the Famicom version of Space Invaders is not good. But, okay, let's actually go into this. So we go into the game, and let's see how the colour version compares. I'm not going to play this version for very long, but I will see what it looks like. So, obviously it plays exactly the same, but they have basically altered the game. So, basically, I think it changes the programming of the Super Game Boy, depending on what colour mode you pick. So, in this mode, it updates the colours whenever the aliens move down the screen. I think. I assume that's how it works, anyway. Where, essentially, it's just a case that in this, you know, they kind of simulate full colour, like the later versions of Space Invaders, where they had like full colour machines. And yeah, it's quite a good. It's quite a good way of doing it. It's kind of funny. I mean, this actually looks better and more colourful than the Famicom version, which was a full colour system. But like I say, the Famicom version was a disappointment. Oh, seems spam shots there. Okay. So I don't think there's really a whole lot more to show off of this mode. I mean, I kind of showed off all there is to see for the most part. I mean, other than the black and white mode, but that's, yeah, exactly what you would expect. For a second I thought that was the Konami paw sound, but it's not. Okay, let's reset, and let's go into the other mode. Here we go. So, let's go into arcade mode. Let's see what this does. So yes, arcade Space Invaders are now invading your Super NES. Yeah, so the Game Boy Space Invaders is a bit of a strange beast in that it can literally turn into a SNES game. And I don't believe there's any other Game Boy game out there that can do that. So, here we go. The classic Invaders from 1978 return. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see Super Mario Land 2 do this in this resolution. Here we go, Space Invaders, the arcade game. Now, I am aware that there was an actual SNES release of this game that had a versus mode, which isn't in this one. But yeah, this is the only game that has this feature, I think, because there was a Super Famicom version of Space Invaders released earlier the same year, and then they released this port as a standalone SNES game later on. I don't think that one got released in Europe, though. But as you see, you can change the default lives. Yeah, you can change when you get the 1-ups. Well, we'll just go for the default. Yeah, this is a pretty small game. I am aware of this, which is probably the reason why it's on here, because they can fit it in space. So here we go. We've got the different screen types. Upright cabinet screen, black and white with cellophane, and colour. So I do find it interesting. So you got the one cabinet screen. So this is the one that I've played in real life. And in fact, there is, or at the very least was, a machine like this in Manchester City Centre. I remember going there, and it was it NQ64 had one of these machines, and it's cool. So we're going to go for this mode, since this is the one I've played in real life. But yeah, I think the SNES port is 256K, which is would make it one of the smallest games on the SNES. But as you see, it basically goes out of its way to try to emulate, well, arcade Space Invaders. Like, it's basically just a straight recreation. And there were a good handful of these on the SNES, like Nichibutsu did collections of conversions of their classic arcade games. There was a conversion of Mr. Do on the SNES. Of course, there is a Game Boy version of Mr. Do, but sadly that doesn't have... sadly, the Game Boy version does not have Super Game Boy functionality, because I think that one was from 1992. You will notice, by the way, there are more invaders in this version. I think just because the screen is larger, and obviously this is more arcade accurate, as you would expect. I mean, since this is literally a SNES game that we're playing at this point. Also, yeah, unfortunately, you know, the extra features that you get with this port, obviously you're only going to get them via Super Game Boy. And this really is like... To me, this is like the closest thing the Game Boy, the Super Game Boy has to a killer app. Because the problem with the Super Game Boy, while plenty of games did support it, most of them didn't make good use of the functionality. I mean, you saw the previous two games, where all they did was add a custom border, and, yeah, add a little bit of colour, but very slight amounts. In fact, the Superman game really does just look like you're playing it on a dot matrix Game Boy screen, like the original, like DMG, whatever. Okay, here we go. Yeah. I've gotten a little bit of practice. I'm not good with arcade games, but I know my Space Invaders. So note they move faster when moving to the right, which is interesting. Okay, I'm going to try to clear out some of this bottom row. I always play vertically. That's just always been my strategy with Space Invaders. Do you play horizontal or vertical? I like vertical because, you know, someone moves their head vertically. It's a sign of approval. Ooh. Yeah, I've forgotten just how close this is to the arcade game. Like this specific version. Actually, there was a conversion of a game similar to this. I think it was called Galaxy Wars. Released it exclusively in Japan, though. But I do remember quite liking that one. I'm not sure if it's quite on the level of this, but I do enjoy it. But yeah, Galaxy Wars. It's one that no one seems to remember, but I've played the SNES version, or, well, Super Famicom technically, and quite good. Ah! And I've actually seen like handhelds. Oh bugger! Yeah, I'm not doing nearly as good this time. But I remember seeing like handheld systems, like ones that you could probably find in Mankind or other like, you know, novelty shops, whatever, which do have, yeah, like arcade, you know, remakes of Space Invaders, whatever. Well, let me try to see if I can get this one at the top first. Nope, couldn't do it. I'll just do this one. I could never get the last one! My brother always got it for me! Oh, bugger. Okay. But yes, the Game Boy port of Mr. Do. Yeah, it's odd. But, I mean, the SNES version of Mr. Do is quite good. So we'll end this and we'll go back and try one of the other modes. Because I don't remember how different they are, but I want to see at least one of them. But, as I say, SNES Mr. Do, again, just very close to the arcade game. And there was a Mega Drive port of Frogger, which is also really good. It even has the original music, which most other versions don't. But, okay, we'll go in. And, I mean, there was a SNES Frogger, but that one is awful. It feels like a bad Flash game. But we'll try... Ooh. We'll try the colour version. See what this looks like. And I know that this does feel more horizontal in terms of resolution than the original arcade game. Or at least how I remember the arcade game, anyway. Yeah, there isn't even music in it. Like, it's such a half-assed game. But here we go. So let's play Colour Space Invaders for a bit. Ooh, here we go. Oh. Yeah, so obviously, gameplay-wise, it's not far off. You know what's really funny to me as well? There is a PS2 Space Invaders compilation, which more or less offers the same thing, but with, like, a fancier menu, I guess. And on the PS2, you would expect more. You wouldn't necessarily expect it from the SNES, though. Or certainly the Game Boy. You're just like, oh, just give me a good version of Space Invaders and I'm fine. Yeah, I mean, the sound effects are on point. Whole gameplay is basically there. Ugh, come get the UFO now. Also, yeah, you can pause this game, you know, just like you can't pause the arcade game. But, you know, it's a good feature to have. Even if it's not conducive to the arcade experience, I don't care. You know, every home console game should have a pause feature. Yeah, there we go. So how do you even get more than 100 points from that consistently? I don't know. I mean, sadly, this is one of those games that, like, I'm not that bad at, but also my partner crushes me at it. It just is also just better at it. Because their skills are crazy. Yeah. Yeah, why is Frogger for the SNES the way it is? I don't get it. I've got to say, the SG-1000 version of this is actually pretty good too. Maybe not as good as this, but better than you would expect, given how poor the Famicom version is. But yeah, obviously the proportions here are more accurate than they are on Super Game Boy when I was just playing. And you know what's really funny too, is that Galaxian and Galaga, around this time, were also ported over to the CDI, of all things. Though obviously, soon afterwards, Namco would make the Namco Museum on the PlayStation. And that was where, yeah, those kind of arcade compilations really kind of kicked into high gear. That was when they got really good. But in 1994, you could not ask for more. Because, you know, PlayStation wasn't out yet. At least, well, it was out in December that year, but this is before then. And now I can't hit this bloody thing. No! What am I doing? Dying is what I'm doing. There we go. Eventually got it. Up the wall. Oh! Okay. Well, I think that will do for Space Invaders. I think you all know what Space Invaders is like. So, where does it go on the list? Well, Obviously, it's going to be better than Superman. I think we can all agree. You know, it's better than The Amazing Spider-Man. It's better than Solar Striker. It's way better than that. It's better than Racing Damacy. It's better than Barrage Fighter Deluxe. It's better than Q-Billion. But is it better than the Japanese version of Space? Well, obviously it is. I mean, it kind of just is. They kind of took the Japanese Space Invaders and added a ton more content into it. And it turns into a SNES game. You know, what more could you ask for? You know, like, this is a game where, like, okay, the original Space Invaders is good. But it kind of just is that and nothing else. Whereas this version adds way more to it. And it does it very well. Like, you know, the recreation of the original game is... it's what you want from a Space Invaders conversion. So, obviously, it goes higher than Space Invaders. It's better than Ms. Pac-Man. It's better than, you know, Donkey Kong Land. It's better than Drop Zone. It's better than Mega Man 5. It's even better than Mega Man 4, I would say. And so I'd say we're looking somewhere on this page. Because, you know, these games are all very high quality. But can any of these games turn into a SNES game? I don't think they can. You know, Mr. Chin's Gourmet Paradise is not also a SNES game. Neither is Hong Kong. I like Hong Kong, but Space Invaders is a better game. It's better than Battle City. Battle City is good, but also... you know, it's not better than the Famicom version. Whereas Space Invaders on Game Boy is absolutely far better than the Famicom version. It's better than Tailgater. Super Mario Land is a classic, but it's also jank. Like, the game is... I played through it more recently, and I'm like, I like this game a lot, but also it's jank. It is unmistakably so. But it is still a favourite. But, yeah, Space Invaders is better than that. So this is where I have to think, well, when it comes down to it, Space Invaders is quite a basic game, but also you think of what you want from a Game Boy game, but then the best features of it really do come through the Super Game Boy. And technically the SNES, because again it turns into a SNES. Yes, King of Fighters 97 is the bootleg. And the only reason that game isn't top of the list is because it doesn't have Terry Bogard or Geese Howard. And if you're going to make a King of Fighters game, you've got to have those in. It's just madness not to have them. Space Invaders has all of the aliens. It's got all the different types of aliens. It's got the UFO. It's got the thing on the bottom that you move the ship around. You know, it's got everything that you need for a Space Invaders game. So it's better than King of Fighters 97. Is it better than Pokemon Generation 1? Also, I didn't put the apostrophe over the E because the font I'm using just doesn't have that. It just doesn't look right if I do it that way. I mean, Pokemon Generation 1 is also a great game, but it's jank. Like, there's a lot of bugs in it. More than you might realise. Like, I've played through that game, like, last year. And, yeah, it's definitely... it's a case of a game that was great for its time. But it's got a bit of a... it's got a bit of issues. Yeah, it's got the bases. It's got the high score display at all times. You can't fault it. And, yeah, I think it's better than Pokemon Generation 1. Is it better than Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins? Because the problem with that game is a lack of replayability. You know, like Super Mario Land 2, it's a game where once you've beaten it and found all the hidden levels, you know, of which there are about 32 levels total, like, you're done with it. There's not really much else to do. It's a great game. But as far as post-game goes, like, Space Invaders is a very replayable game. And also, it can turn... it also has the ability to become the SNES version of Space Invaders. And that puts it above Super Mario Land 2. It's also better than Tetris. Tetris is a great game for 1989 standards. It was a great game when it came out, but there were better versions of Tetris that were released later on, countless ones, including ones on Game Boy. it is not the definitive version of Tetris. In a way, it kind of is. It's a very iconic version, but it's certainly not the best. It's better than V-Rally Championship Edition, because as much as that's a far better game than the console versions, let me think. Yeah, V-Rally Championship Edition is a classic game. One that people tend to sleep on. Really good racing game, but maybe could have done with just a bit more variety in the actual courses. And that's the one thing that really the console version has over the Game Boy versions. Because it was also on Game Boy Color. I looked at the monochrome version, but yeah. It's better than that. But is it better than Real Bout Fatal Fury Special? Or King of Fighters 96? Is it better than those? I mean, it is a SNES game and a Game Boy game. But Netto King of Fighters 96 does have Mr. Karate in it. And I don't think the other versions have that. You know, it's got a really good art style, unique to the Game Boy version. Like, here's the thing. These SNK conversions are so good that I think they actively hurt SNK's ability to market the Neo Geo Pocket. Because you look at these conversions, you're like, well, these are so good, why would you need another handheld? I mean, Real Bout Fatal Fury Special, I feel like it's missing a fair bit from the original. And I don't think it does as much to make up for its shortcomings compared to King of Fighters 96. Plus, I mean, King of Fighters 96 has the team mode, which is why that's higher on the list. Space Invaders is... The Game Boy version of Space Invaders is definitely one of the best versions of Space Invaders. But if I had to choose between Space Invaders and King of Fighters 96... Well, King of Fighters 96 has more going on. Real Bout Fatal Fury Special has certain features. I think it was after King of Fighters 96, and I just didn't like it as much. It kind of feels like a slightly lesser game. I think Space Invaders... I think it belongs between these two games. Yeah, it's our new number 3. Space Invaders, the international version, gets the bronze medal. It is our 3rd best game so far. So, yeah, excellent game. Definitely play it. But there we go. Between King of Fighters 96 and Real Bout Fatal Fury Special. That's a very good place to be. But I'm going to take a quick break, just so I can fill up my glass, because it's almost empty. I will be back in a few minutes, so don't go away. Oh, if Bubble Ghost can turn into a SNES game, its lead at the top will be unassailable. Like, it will be at least twice as good as every other game on the list, and it would be like there's no way any game could beat it. But anyway, I'll be back in a couple minutes. Oh yes, the magic sound. That must mean it's time for another Game Boy game, and this time... it's Game Boy Gallery! Oh yes. So... what's really funny is that I've seen sites, I think the Cutting Room 4 just described this as incredibly obscure. And I can tell you from my personal experience, this game is really not that obscure. But, yeah, we got to do some of these gallery games at some point. So you might have heard of Game & Watch Gallery, but this is Game Boy Gallery, with some differences. So as you can see from this border, so this of course is, yeah, basically a take on the Game & Watch games of old. Because I figured, hey, we just played Space Invaders, let's play something that's contemporary to Space Invaders. With 5 games, Ball, Vermin, Flagman, Manhole, and Cement Factory. Which is weird, because, well, we'll get into it. Okay, so we'll start off with Ball. Yeah, it's obscure because Americans didn't play it at the time. But, here we go. So we've got the options. So we've got Game A or Game B. You can either have Game Boy audio or Game & Watch audio. Yeah, basically, what obscure means is Americans didn't get to play it. Because if Americans didn't play it at the time, that must mean it's obscure to everyone. But, yeah. So, for whatever reason, Game & Watch Gallery, or, sorry, Game Boy Gallery, was only released in Europe and Australia. Some places say it was released only in the UK and Australia, but I'm pretty sure it did get released in mainland Europe as well. I think the box art packaging for the game does have, the write-up in multiple languages. But yeah, this is Game Boy Gallery, as you say. And yeah, this essentially was the dry run, the trial run maybe, for the Game & Watch Gallery series that came later. Because this was 1995, and Game & Watch Gallery was 1997, where they kind of changed things up a bit. Firstly, that one had a Mario theme, whereas this one, they just kind of went generic with it. I don't know why. But yeah, this one really doesn't have a theme, it's just kind of whatever. It's not hard to see why they changed it, let's put it that way. And it's kind of funny, because on the menu, like, you note that one of the games is just called Cement Factory. Originally, it was Mario Cement Factory, and despite the fact that this is a first-party game, they didn't put Mario in the game. Like, they took Mario out of the game. They did eventually remake it on one of the Game & Watch compilations, and did put Mario back into it. He got his job back. And I'm pretty sure all these other games were eventually remade as well. I don't know if all of them got the Mario treatment, or if maybe some of them were just as extra features in the compilation. Because that's one thing I do remember about Game & Watch Gallery, because I had the one on Game Boy Advance. I didn't have the Game Boy ones at the time, unfortunately. I have gone back and played a couple of them, but by a couple of them, I actually mean all of them. But yeah, the Game Boy Advance version, that's the one I was familiar with, because it's the one I had. Along with this one, if you count this as part of the same series. Weirdly, in Australia, this effectively is the first game in the series, because over there it was known as Game Boy Gallery for all of the games. So the first Game & Watch Gallery game in Europe and America, they called Game Boy Gallery 2 in Australia. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, in Australia, this is part of that series. In Europe, it isn't. That's what it comes down to. And like I say, I don't really consider this part of the same series. Again, it feels more like a dry run, rather than a proper entry into the series in its own right. But, yeah, I don't really know what they were going for with this character design as well. Just like a puppet, maybe? Like I said, I did play this back in the day. I don't think I played it that much, though. Like, I really got into Game & Watch Gallery Advance a lot more. Probably because it had better presentation, but also it did have more games as well. And there was more with the games, where with the Game & Watch Gallery series, you had the modern and classic modes, where this kind of plays like a classic mode game, but they've tried to update the graphics a bit. There is a mode where you can change the audio so it sounds like the Game & Watch version, but I think it still has all these extra graphical effects that you don't get with the original game. So there's no way to really have a proper representation of the original, and Game & Watch Gallery certainly did that a lot better than this. But yeah, it's not hard to see why they renamed the rest of the games for Europe. You know, under a different series compared to this. And that's not to say this is bad. It's just that it doesn't really fit. But, you know, we'll just drop a ball while we're here, just so you can see what that looks like. But yeah. Also, you only get one life in this. I think there was a Game & Watch version of this on one of the later collections where you did get multiple lives. Hello, Ristu, how you doing? Playing some Game & Watch games. Okay, let's play... Oh, that's weird. So if you go into the menu, it like fades out and fades in the background. I guess it changes it based on what game you have selected. So actually, that's pretty good. I do like that feature, even if it doesn't necessarily do a whole lot. It also doesn't tell you how to play the games, although, to be fair, the games are mostly pretty simple. So, if we go into Vermin, yeah. Basically, you gotta position yourself in the right spot. There are 3 different spots you can be in, and you gotta make sure that you hit the vermin. It's kind of funny, actually. There's an Atari game that reminds me of this. But the Atari game is awful, from what I remember. It's on one of the... It's one of the TV Boy games. So I know it from that. Yeah. So I do know that Ball was in one of the later collections. It wasn't in the Game Boy Advance one. Yeah, Gopher. That game is awful. And I say that as someone who actually does like the Atari 2600, but that's not a good one. So, something about the song makes me think of the Looney Tunes theme. Like, I'm sure you hear it as well. Like, you hear the first bit. Oh, no, Tiny Toons. That's what I'm thinking of. It's got to be the Tiny Toons theme about it. I would start reciting the Tiny Toons theme, but I can't remember the lyrics. Actually, it's funny because Konami has gotten a bad rep in this series, and I do want to try to make it up to them a little bit. There is at least one game that I do want to cover from them, that I do have in my collection, that I do want to show off. I don't have the Tiny Toon games, though, but I have played through the 2 platformer games, and yeah, for the record, because I don't have the games on cartridge, so I can't cover them in the series for now at least. And I would say the first game is good, and the second one is the second one isn't. Oh, I love when games do that. But like I say, Tiny Toon Adventures 1 on Game Boy is quite good. Wait, what's going on? I think the game crashed. The game couldn't handle the fact that I lost. Okay, let's try doing that again. Nope, and the thing's going glitchy. Great. See if I can get it working. Of course, it works first time and then crashes. Yeah, this is the fun of messing around with real Game Boy cartridges. I swear I'm going to just have to, like, take a Q-tip, as Americans call them. You know, take a cotton bud, or cotton swab, or whatever you want to call it, and fix it that way. But, okay, let's try this again. Okay, let's do it this time. Let's do Game B, and do it with the original sound. Just so you can see what the difference is like. So, Game B, Game Watch Audio. Give it a nice little animation. But here we go. So this is what happens with the different audio. So you get a brief audio snippet at the beginning, but yeah, other than that, it's designed to sound like a Game & Watch game. But again, it doesn't look like the original Game & Watch game, like it's... Yeah, it's still got this weird look to it that maybe you could have replicated on an LCD screen. But yeah, again, it's not what the original looks like. It's just weird. Again, the Game & Watch Gallery series does do it better. Ooh, 7800 plus. You know, I don't have an Atari 7800. Does that one play cartridges, or do you just run ROMs off it? I don't know. Because I do own an Atari Junior, but I never owned an Atari 7800. It's one that I'd thought of getting, but apparently the European models all have like this really bad sort of distortion on the screen that just makes the screen look kind of rubbish. Plus, you know, the Atari 7800 really has few games on it. Oop. Yeah, you gotta really concentrate on Game B, I'll tell you that. But yeah, it does have a good version of Ball Blazer. The Game Boy doesn't have any version of Ball Blazer, I don't think. Probably because... There we go. There you go. Like I say, you really got to concentrate on these games if you want to make progress in them. Well, like I say, I played this somewhat as a kid. You know, I certainly had better games back then, but I definitely had worse. Like, you think of something like Mario and Yoshi, and kind of how little it has to offer as a puzzle game. Which is funny, because I liked that game back in the day. But, You know, there you go. Some things are, you can perceive differently as a 6-year-old. God, Pop Station. Yeah, I'd love to see someone try to remake all the Pop Station games. Just like, yeah, here's City Fighter. And then you just fire your arms and legs at the opponent. Yeah, I just want to see the O thing again. Anyway, let's see what the other games are like. I will say this. This menu song is really good. Like I said, I've got my Atari Junior, which is quite good. Still got that. So what else we got? So we got Flagman. Oh, actually, interesting tidbit. So while this game didn't get an American release, this particular game, like Flagman, was later used in Wario Land 2, I believe, and I do have that game, so we will eventually see that one. I wasn't sure whether to cover it today, because my copy of Wario Land 2 is a Game Boy Color version. I think it does have Super Game Boy features, but I don't know if it's better played via the Super Game Boy or via Game Boy Player in Game Boy Color mode. I don't know. God. As if anyone would have nostalgia for the Pop Station, except maybe Ashens. You know, let's, I really want to do Game B on Flagman. Let's try this out. But like I say, this did appear in Wario Land 2. Also, I gotta be honest, I don't remember the controls. Okay, so that's not the button. You have to press left, right, A and B, I think? Yeah, there we go. So that's it. I do like the facial expression. So, there you go. Left and right are 2 and 4. Problem is, I don't remember which buttons A and B are for. And, oh. No, I guess it changed the pattern. Okay, I wasn't actually paying attention, sorry. Okay, let's actually focus on this. Oh, is that it? Oh, yeah, that's right, I forgot, yeah. There we go. Yeah, so B is 5 and A is 6. You know, it's a lot easier when they only give you 3 of them. There are no odd numbers other than 5. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's see what 1 looks like if it ever comes up. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Made it to 10! Hooray! So now we got, yeah, that one's showing it. Yeah, there we go. Oh, no, and that's it. Okay. So that's Flagman. It's, yeah, basically it's like Simon Says. I don't remember if the original Flagman adds additional, you know, buttons that you have to hit. That may be something exclusive to this version. Also, yeah, I am doing the Game Boy audio for all of these, just so you can hear what the soundtracks are like. I mean, you know what Game & Watch games sound like, I'm sure. So, Manhole. I remember not liking this one. I remember this one being a bit dull. But we'll do it anyway. I do know this one does appear on the... yeah, the later compilations. I do like the soundtrack for this one, at least. Also, yeah, get a load of your character's facial expression. Like, what's he even doing here? Like, desperately trying to cling to the river. Or not fall into the river. This one actually does get pretty difficult, though, after a bit. From what I remember. So you gotta figure out which one you gotta get to land first. I'm trying to remember what was in the Advance one, because Game & Watch Gallery Advance, the problem with that collection is I could never unlock all the other games. I could get all the, like, main ones that appear in the main menu, but unlocking the ones in the museum, I wasn't even aware for a while that you could even unlock those as playable. I thought it was just, you know, a special feature. It's like, oh, you got this cool extra bit where you get to see what some of the other games look like. But no, apparently you could play all those as well. It's a shame, because I always wanted to play the Zelda one, and I was never good enough at the other games to be able to do that. So, I just never got to play it. And that's the real tragedy of that collection is, yeah, you gotta be really good at the other games if you want to play Zelda on it. Because I was always curious, like, how Zelda works on a Game & Watch screen. And I do know it was one of the last Game & Watch games they made. Because it was, what, like 1989? So we're talking, like, yeah, like very late in the day. Like, basically around the same time the Game Boy launched. Which is funny, because of course they did eventually make a Zelda game for Game Boy. And I do have a few Zelda games on it, but I haven't played them enough to rank them, I think. I may need to play those more in my own time. Also, I do find it amusing that even though this kind of has a generic theme, you do have those Mario clouds in the background. Like, they look like they came straight out of Super Mario The Lost levels on the Famicom Disk System. They kind of have that look to them. I mean, not exactly the same, but it's the same kind of vibe, I guess. But, okay, I'll play this for a bit more. You know what, let's see what happens if one of them falls in. I actually do like the use of colour on these Game & Watch games, like on the Super Game Boy. I think it is essentially monochrome, but they at least use all four colours. Unlike Superman, where we're just going to render everything in black and white and nothing else. But yeah, that's Manhole. So finally, let's go to Cement Factory without Mario. And, you know what, let's play this one in Game B, just for the hell of it. Just because Game B is faster. Ooh. So that's probably the best in-game soundtrack. Also, I never understood the intro. Like, you are a blob that turns into a man. It's just Metal Morph on the SNES. Like that one really bad SNES platformer. But yeah, I always liked Mario Cement Factory. I think this was on the GBA collection as well. I remember it being on that at least, because I certainly played an enhanced version of this. Oh, also, yeah, you do that, and then it's like... Yeah, I never really understood the animation. It's like, oh no, the world is exploding around me. Or something, I don't know. Yes, I am the Blob Man. I am Blob and I have become man. Well no, because the Blob Man never turns into a human. Like, Blob Man is always just Blob. But likes to identify as a man. Because, you know, that's his Blob Man's way of life. Oh no! Gotta salvage that. Also, what happens if you drop a fourth one? Yeah, we cover that, man. That's what you get for sitting in the truck all day. Okay, I'm the one doing all the actual work. I mean, I'm doing it badly, but at least I'm doing it. You know, I just want to see this. Move this down. And then move that down. Oh! Oh! I don't know why I said oh. Like, what's he doing here? He's just grabbing... He's just grabbing on the thing. Yeah, I mean, Mario was a bit busy in 1995. You know, I mean, he was being rescued by Yoshi. And, you know, he was also testing out the waters for the Ultra 64. And he was probably starring in like 50 puzzle games with Tetris in the title that weren't actually Tetris. As was Nintendo's style at the time. You know, I just want to see this again. He's like, what's even going on there? Is he just like exploding? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that is Game Boy Gallery. Take care, Electric Boogaloo. Enjoy your day. But, where does Game Boy Gallery go on the list? Well, in the grand scheme of things, well, you know, I definitely wouldn't put this on the level of Game & Watch Gallery, but of course I haven't ranked any of those yet, because I don't actually have any of them on cartridge, I don't think. I don't think any of the pirate carts I have include those games. I used to have one that had at least one of them, but then the cartridge died. But yeah, it's certainly not as good as Space Invaders. It's not as good as Super Mario Land. Super Mario Land is jank, but it's got more to it. It's got more style, you know. Like that Mario, he's got style. It's not as good as RoboCop. Is it better than Cat Trap? Because Cat Trap does have a cat boy and a cat girl. The characters in this game are all just kind of there. And the games play fine. The use of the Super Game Boy is pretty good, relatively speaking, but it probably could have done a bit more with it. But there's no way to, you know, fully simulate the experience of playing a Game & Watch game. Like, you're always going to have those extra graphical effects that you don't get. The weird kind of art style, I don't think entirely works. It's not that the art style is bad, it's just that it doesn't really have the charm of the original Game & Watch games. It also just doesn't look as good as the later games. The games play okay, but maybe aren't the best selection of games. I don't know. I mean, I would probably play Cat Trap over this. It's not as good as Mega Man 4. It's not as good as Elevator Action, because that is a very good version of Elevator Action on the Game Boy. It's not as good as Mega Man 5, but it is better than the monochrome version of Drop Zone. So it's our new number 32. So there we go. Game Boy Gallery, the 32nd best game on this list. But you know what? I think we need to introduce a big name that we haven't seen yet. You know, we added Donkey Kong to the list because, yeah, the other Donkey Kong game isn't really Donkey Kong, is it? And I'm trying to remember where I put my copy of the game. Wait, this is... Yeah, I mean, this is my other box of Game Boy games. I think it might be in this one. Yeah, here it is. You know who we haven't seen yet? We have not seen Kirby. So let's play the Kirby game that I had back in the day, Kirby's Block Ball, which actually came with... the game that came with my Game Boy Pocket back in the day. Like I say, we gotta have at least one Kirby game on the list, otherwise the electorate will riot. As will my Super Game Boy. So I'm gonna have to clean all these cartridges later. I swear I cleaned some of them too. And they're just not working. But here we go. We gotta do this one, because we haven't looked at any Kirby games yet, and that just feels incorrect. But here we go. So, here we go. So you got this nice border. Now, I'm pretty sure in the Japanese version of this, there was something on the bottom that maybe had the game name in Japanese or something like that. But yes, Kirby's Block Ball, looking strangely washed out on the Super Game Boy. But here we go. Select file. Okay, so this has the same problem as Donkey Kong Land, where I used to have a save file on this, and I'm pretty sure I played all the levels. And it's unfortunate that this didn't hold my save, because, yeah, it'd be nice to show the later levels of this, but I cannot, because it lost the save file. Ooh. Also, get a load of the soundtrack in this one. Okay, let's go to stage 1, and let's work away from there. Ooh. I always like the song. So, like I say, this was the only Kirby game that I had back in the day. So my impressions of Kirby back then were unorthodox, I suppose. Which maybe says something about my own taste in games. Yes, so it's a Kirby game, Jim, but not as we know it. Yeah, this one essentially is, well, it's Breakout, but with Kirby in it. Also, you can do this. But the timing on it is really hard to do. You gotta do it at a very specific time. Yeah, like, you're off for like a couple frames, it won't do it. Also, you notice the thing where it said borderline 120,000. So, the thing about this game is basically to, like, quote-unquote clear the stages properly, you actually have to beat a certain score. And that's a lot easier said than done, you know, especially in a game like Breakout, you know, in this style. Because you may have noticed, I don't really have a whole lot of control over where to move Kirby. So, yeah, try and do it consistently, good luck. But, stylistically, gets it down pretty well. But, again, you'll notice not a whole lot of control, and it also seems very limited in terms of the angles you can move Kirby in. Where, yeah, like, it seems to be, I think, 16 different angles. It certainly gave me that impression when I started the level, anyway. Yeah, this definitely has slight kind of devilish vibes. Like, this kind of has a similar vibe. I'm sure I played one of those on stream once. Like, it was maybe the Game Gear version, or maybe it was the Mega Drive. I can't remember. But I do remember playing one of those and being like, you know, this game would be great if it wasn't kind of like a jank mess. And I do remember Crackout on the NES was like that as well. Crackout being a European exclusive NES game that was kind of just Breakout. Well, I suppose that one was closer to Arkanoid. This I described more like Breakout, mostly because I don't think you don't get traditional, like, power-ups like Breakout. They're kind of different. Oh, here we go. But now we've got the bonus game. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. I don't think I'll be able to get the chance to show off all these, but yeah, we have Up Cloud, Air Hockey, Star Catcher, and Up Down. Yeah, let's do the Star Catcher one. I don't remember what this is. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you'll notice I got 4 paddles on this level, and I forget exactly what this minigame is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is one where you gotta catch the stars and avoid the bombs. But you're controlling 4 paddles at the same time. And that's the weird thing about this game. Usually you're controlling multiple paddles simultaneously. Also, yeah, I think, yeah, so if you catch a bomb, then that's it. Kind of like the minigame in Panic Restaurant, where you have to catch the eggs. Bit like that. Also, yeah, getting the bonuses in these is really hard. Or at least it is if you're rubbish like I am. But, I actually was looking up the retro achievements on this game out of interest. I might have played a few stages into this on, like, emulation. But, yeah, from what I've seen, it's actually really hard to, like, beat this game with the, like, high scores. Because, like I said, the high scores are actually very high, and maybe there's something I'm missing, but it feels like there's a lot of luck involved in getting those high scores. So I have a bit of sad news, which is I had to take Explosive Brick 99 off the list because I decided that I should really only be counting games that got standalone releases, and I couldn't find a standalone release for Explosive Brick 94. I did try looking into it, but there were a dozen games that basically never got standalone versions. Mostly games that were near the bottom of the list, so games like Small Gorilla and Crazy Burger and whatever, like the really bad ones that Saturn put out on Game Boy. Yeah, like those games did not get standalone versions, and probably for good reason. Now, this game, I mean, how it compares, I mean, yes, Warfly, I did try looking that one up. I couldn't find any standalone release for it. I mean, if there's a riot, I may have to add it back in. But, yeah, it's the reason why there's only 3 games below the buffer zone, not 4. It's because Warfly apparently was so bad it didn't even deserve its own standalone version. But, yeah, here we go. Now, what I will point out about this game in particular, later on, like sort of in later levels, you do get like extra abilities that appear on certain levels, and those abilities are quite useful, and you kind of need them, really. But like you'll notice here, like there's a real lack of control that you have over Kirby. So here we go, the bonus chance. So this is basically a chance to get a whole load of bonus points. And you'll probably want to be doing this the whole time. As basically because it gives you a bigger hitbox. But yeah, like good luck, like... Okay, there we go. So I did get the bonus that time. And I think it may be based on the amount of blocks that are left on the stage. Yeah, because I got 16. So I got, you know, that many blocks as the bonus. So the next round, I don't remember what this is. This is like the one for the boss fight, isn't it? You got to get all these things. But yeah, like I say, Warfly, I couldn't find a standalone version of it. And I literally couldn't find any information on the game beyond what I found out for myself actually trying to play it. Because I actually did try looking up info on it because I wanted to know how to play it. I was like, okay, well, how do you play Warfly? And I couldn't find any gameplay footage that played it for more than 5 seconds. Like, literally, the only other gameplay footage beyond me playing it that I could find was, yeah, like, literally a 5-second clip. Okay, here we go. Round clear. So there we go. We got all the blocks. I don't know what you get for getting less than all the blocks. Maybe you just don't get a bonus. Okay, now here's one of the best bits of the game where you get to fight a boss fight. Now, like I said, my impression of Kirby basically came from this game because I didn't have any of the other games back in the day. Like I say, getting the timing on that is so hard. Because it's so, tight. And even when you do get it, a lot of the time you end up just missing anyway. There we go. Yep, so here we go into Phase 2. Oh no! Trying to get the one in the middle. Is this meant to be Wispy Woods? I thought it was meant to be something else at first, but like, no, that's just a really small version of Wispy Woods, apparently. Which I guess we kind of expect that as the first boss, but still. But yeah, see, moments like this really make me wish I just had more control. Because there's only so much you can do. Like, the B button, I don't think really does anything different. It may use the special abilities later on. Also, yeah, the, I will say this, the soundtrack, yeah, is top tier. So, note the fact that I beat the high score, but barely. And this is level 1. Like, there are 10 levels of this. And the scores do get higher as you progress through the game, I think. So, that was level 1, and I could barely beat the high score that it wanted me to beat. Like I say, the high scores in this are really high. Oh no. Put my name in just for the hell of it. You probably won't save it, because I think the battery's dead in this, but yeah. But here we go, stage 2. But as you see, so there are 10 stages that go around the outer circle. I seem to recall stage... Yeah, so this stage, from this point onwards, you get sort of special abilities, I think. Or maybe that's level 3, I can't remember. But yeah, this basically tells you, press the A button, and you can, do that. Yeah, so you have to do this to destroy certain blocks. Although, certain blocks simply cannot be destroyed, I don't think. But here we go. And I will say for the record, I do have a couple other Kirby games in my collection. Like, this is not the only game I have. It was the one I had at the time. But I have gone back and, played some of the other ones. And I'll take a look at those at some point. But those games don't have Super Game Boy support, so... And I don't have any Kirby games on any multi-carts. For whatever reason, it just doesn't seem common on those, which is weird, because you'd think... Like, Kirby being a pretty big name on Game Boy, you think they would have pirated those games more, but I guess not. Also, it's kind of weird just how, like... I don't know, the colour scheme in this, like, playing this on Super Game, it kind of feels off. I didn't have a Super Game Boy when I played this originally, so I was just used to playing it on, the Game Boy Pocket. But, yeah, I mean, playing this, like, with this colour scheme, it feels like it could have done with a bit more colour. Like, I understand not having really much in the way of colour for something like Donkey Kong Land, where the screen is constantly moving, so you can't really apply colours over it and have it look in any way decent. But something like this, where most of the screen is static the whole time, I don't know, it feels like they could have done a bit more, at least with like the borders of the heads-up display. And I do remember Kirby's Dream Land 2, which I haven't got. But yeah, like Kirby's Dream Land 2, I definitely remember, yeah, like barely uses the Super Game Boy at all. But there we go. So, that was a really good run. But basically, if you don't get every single one of those blocks, you don't get a bonus. It's kind of like the bonus levels in Alleyway. It's similar to that. Okay, I do like this stage. Just a little face. Funny man. Oh, also, I do remember if Kirby lands on the spikes in big form, then you don't, yeah, basically you don't die. It's only if you're in this, like, small form that you die. Yeah, like that. So, like, you see, like, landed on the thing but didn't die. Also, yeah, good luck getting half these objects as well. The fact that they disappear is kind of a dick move. Yeah, I mean, who needs time for... who needs to play Kirby when you can play Dead Alien or Ishido Japan version? Let's have a look at air hockey while we're here. So this is the air hockey game. So this one actually is kind of different to everything else. A bit like a Shuffle Cafe, a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Yo! Okay. Or actually, it's a bit like that ice hockey game, or not ice hockey, air hockey game that was on the Sega MegaNet service. Wasn't a very good game, but, yeah. You could play it. Ugh. Yeah. I suppose it's somewhere like either that or maybe, again, the timing on this is quite tight if you want to do it properly. And, like I say, I don't think the B button really does anything most of the time. Like, again, I think on later levels you get kind of special abilities. Ugh. Yeah. Kirby's ball. Ooh! But hey, I get a 1-up. So, you know, it could be worse. But, okay, here we go. I do want to at least show off level 3 for a bit. There is a reason for that. So, like, you can see the special abilities on the sides of the screen. And those do come into play later on. You don't really get it for the first 2 levels. You have to get a few levels in. Which is why I wanted to use my save file, but because the game didn't save my... Because the game lost my save, stuck playing these. Unless there's a level select, I don't think this game has that, though. I don't know. If this game has a level select, I'd like to know. Just to save myself a bit of time. Also, yeah, sometimes you end up in situations like this. The classic breakout problem of you've got like 1 or 2 blocks left and it takes ages to get to them. Because the ball just doesn't travel where you want it to. It's like, how am I even supposed to get this last one? I always thought in games like this there should be a timer to get the last one, and then if you don't get it, you just miss out on whatever point you would have got for hitting it. There we go. Eventually you'll get it. But yeah, like, Kirby's Block Ball, Alleyway, you know, Arkanoid, whatever, they all have that problem. You know, unless it's a game that has some sort of gravity system in play, like Bouncer 2 on the PlayStation, like the Net Urology game. But, yeah, so this stage is like, this is the one right before the boss fight. And essentially what you have to do is you have to hit this enemy at the top a bunch of times, and then that's it. Oh. Also, that's what happens if you die, by the way. I mean, it's worth showing that off at least once. Ugh. Also, are these tracks from previous Kirby games? I don't remember them being... Like, I know, like, the song that plays when you win is in it. But, like, I don't remember this song being in any of the other games. But maybe it's, like, some weird remix and I just don't recognize it. But I actually do think this game is one of the best soundtracks on the Game Boy. Maybe it's just because I played it back in the day, but certainly up there for me at least. We go the next round. There we go. So they do change the colour a little bit here, but now we've got 4 paddles instead of just 3. Oh, also I forgot the boss can do that. I think it's just if you approach it from above. If you approach it from below, yeah, there we go. Ugh. Also, the platforms, the bats can kind of desync a bit as well. Yeah. Also, yeah, try not to do that. I don't know if you get points for hitting those things. I don't think you do. There's no real benefit to hitting them. Unless that's like a secret way to get points I wasn't aware of. Ugh. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. The greatest slogan that has ever been devised. This side of Bang and the Dirt is gone. Also, yeah, I don't know what's going on with the hitboxes of this boss fight. Just weird. Okay, well, I don't even need to do the big move thing anyway. I mean, it's down to the last hit. There we go. But I do want to at least show off a bit of level 3. There we go. 128,000. So again, barely did it despite getting, like, a lot of those bonus blocks. Like I say, getting those... Yeah, getting this borderline thing, it's like, good luck doing it consistently. Honestly, I've only got these first two because I'm just lucky. But again, doing it consistently, I don't know how you do it. But well, I got the high score at least. But let's have a quick look at level 3 and then we'll probably call it. So stage 3. Yeah, so you notice that the scores do increase at this point. So this one you can get, yeah, basically power-ups. This is where the game becomes more interesting, I'd say. Because the first 2 levels are pretty straightforward. This one, you can get power-ups, and I guess this is where the Kirby elements come into play. But you do have to get the power-ups to use them first. Like, I can't just use it right away. But, yeah, like, so here we go. So I can do this. And this is cool. But, okay, let's have a look at one of the other bonus games before we go. So, up, down one. I think that's just where you got a few clouds, and then you hit them to make them go up or down. It's not that interesting. So let's go for up cloud. So here we go. So, basically what I try to do here is I try to get yeah, try to get some 1-ups. Let's, you know, just for the hell of it, let's try to go for the 3-up, just because. I can't remember if there's a time limit on this or not. I do know if you fall off the stage, you lose. So try not to do that. But yeah, you know the fact that they don't go up if the ball is moving down, which kind of makes sense. But hey, looking good for the 2-up. Yeah, I don't want to hit it back. But yeah, as I say, those borderline things, they become bastard hard. It's kind of funny, like, I've seen some people talk about Kirby being, like, super easy. And I call bollocks on that. Because, yeah, some of those games really are not. Kirby's Adventure is not an easy game. I will say that for the record. And this game is... Well, I guess if you're trying to beat it 100%, it is also not easy. Also, you notice that the paddle does change speed based on the ball's movement, which is a bit odd. Here we go. Let's see if I can get the 3-up. So you can make the ball move back, you know, doing it like that. There we go. 2-up, get. You don't get any points for these bonus games. It's just, you know, you can die more times before you have to redo the level. Thankfully, the levels aren't that long. But you'll notice the lightning bolt in the corner, which essentially means I can just do this. Oh, also, yeah, I've forgotten if it lands on the spikes, you lose it. So that's where kind of the Kirby element comes into play with this game. So, who actually made this game? I think this may have been a collaboration. Because I think, like, Hal worked on it, but also I think Thtouch worked on it as well. Thtouch, who basically made half of the Japanese games in existence. So it feels like it. Yeah, if you've ever played a game from Japan, Thtouch probably had a hand in it. Yeah, this is where having the lightning bolt thing would be useful. No! It's always the worst with games like this, where it's like, oh, well, now you gotta wait half an hour for it to get back to the other side. This is the wrong side. Oops, wrong side. Gameplay from the same people who made the DVD menu. Oh, not DVD menu, the DVD screen saver thing. Oh! See, this is always the problem with games like this. Like, you wanna know why Alleyway isn't higher on the list? Then, yeah, part of the reason. Okay, let's at least try to see if I can show off a bit more of the lightning bolt thing. I'm gonna try to do that. Cool, let me. Yeah, so I knew Tose was involved with this. I don't know, like, what parts they worked on. Like, maybe they just worked on, yeah, the actual game part, and maybe Nintendo did, like, the graphics or something. I don't know, I can only speculate. I cannot get the ball to go in the... There we go. Try to get it to go in the angle I want. Which is easier said than done. Yeah, here we go. Yes, Spock! Get! Yeah, so definitely having those abilities does help quite a bit. See if I can show that off here. So here we go. Let's see if I can get all these extra blocks. Which, again, doing this consistently, easier said than done. Especially when, you know, on a stage like this, where you've got some blocks that are indestructible. So, I'm probably making it look easier than it is through this gameplay. I promise I'm not doing that on purpose. Usually I'm a lot worse at this. There we go, now we've got the wheel enemy. They're being kind of a bastard. I don't think you can get any ability from it, though, in this. Yes, here we go. Flashy screen. Brings back memories of Superman. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so we got this again. So, like I say, the scores that you have to get the bonuses do go up on the later levels. So, yeah, I've also got to avoid the spikes at the bottom. So, basically, if you hit the spikes on the bottom, you do lose the, but yeah, sometimes you're in situations like this where you're just stuck. And then it's like, oh, well, you just don't get a bonus. And, yeah. Hold on, let me at least finish this stage, because I seem to recall there being like a message or something when you beat it. Unless I'm misremembering it. But, there we go. Anyway, I'll probably call it for this game right now. I think we have seen enough. You do get other abilities in the later levels, like the spiky form and flame and whatever else. But anyway, yeah, we'll see how this ranks on the list. So, Kirby's Block Ball. We haven't actually looked at any other Kirby games yet, but I do have other ones in the pipeline, maybe. Okay, first thing to ask. So, I think the real question is, how does Kirby's Block Ball compare to Alleyway? Now, we all know that Explosive Brick 94, which is no longer on the list because it got disqualified, is slightly better than Alleyway. But is Kirby's Block Ball better than Alleyway? Because Alleyway basically does one thing. It's basically a game where it's like, we're going to do one thing, and that's have a game where you break blocks, and that's it. And it does it well. but that's all it does. Like, it's, you know, it's a good game for 1989 standards when, you know, the Game Boy was new and LCD gaming was the standard before that. You know, where the alternatives were basically Tiger LCD games that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. But then you compare it to later games within that same niche, it doesn't hold up quite as well. And you certainly compare it to Kirby's Block Ball, which has way more going on. Far better presentation, more abilities. You're often using multiple paddles at the same time. You got a whole bunch of different enemy types. You got those weird bonus minigames. There's a lot more to it. And I would definitely put Kirby's Block Ball above Alleyway. Like, no question about that. Because Alleyway just doesn't offer enough by the standards of... Well, certainly by 1995, where you're like, I wish this game had a bit more going on. And Kirby's Block Ball maybe exists for those people who wanted a breakout-style game, but wanted more. The real issue that I have with Kirby's Block Ball, personally, is it really is that score system, because the fact that you have to get a really high score to be able to beat the levels. I mean, even the first levels, you've got to get a high score, you know, and I mean a high score to do it. And it gets harder, you know, the high score challenges get higher, the levels get more difficult, you know, there's more going on in them, and, you know, the whole thing with trying to hit the jelly bean blocks when you turn them into that, not that easy, especially on the later levels where you got a lot of other blocks that get in the way of what you're trying to do. It's just, I don't know, I feel like this has Crash Bash syndrome. This is a good game if you're just playing it casually, but if you're actually trying to beat it, you know, and get like the proper ending and everything else, suddenly it becomes the worst game in the universe. But judging this as a more casual game to play, this is far better than something like Alleyway. It's way better than that jank version of Street Fighter 2. It's better than Max, aka Rubble Saver 2. It's better than Painter Momo P. It's certainly better than Boxel. It's also better than Boxel 2. It's better than Side Pocket. It is better than the Japanese version of Space Invaders. It's better than that weird version of DuckTales. Is it better than Mr. Do? Because Mr. Do is a weird version. It's a weird version of Mr. Do. But Mr. Do is Mr. Do, and you can't fault its quality as a game. No, it is better than Mr. Do. It's also better than the Pac-Man conversions. But it's not better than... Is it better than Buster Move 3DX? It's not better than No, thinking about it, it is better than Pinball Revenge of the Gator. But it's not better than Shanghai. Shanghai, I think, does the fundamentals a bit better. Where, you know, trying to beat that game isn't a nightmare. Like, you can... Like, that one's probably... You know, if you actually want to get all the retro achievements on it, it's going to be less of a pain than trying to do it for Kirby's Block Ball, that's for sure. But I would take this over Pinball Revenge of the Gator. So, yeah, it's our new number 48. So, yeah, top 50 game. Kirby's Block Ball, the first of what will doubtless be multiple Kirby games on the list. But I think we've got time for one more game, and let's take a look at that. So the last game that I'm going to play for today, so this is a series that we haven't seen enough of. We've only seen the one game, and we need to see more. Tetris is in the house with Tetris Blast. Thankfully not a Tetris game made by Blast Entertainment. This comes to us from Nintendo. If it decides it wants to work, of course. Yeah, I didn't have this problem playing Game Boy Play. No, it's just getting worse. I don't know if it's a problem with the Super Game Boy contacts or what. But, like, not a single game's worked first time, and some of these definitely should have done. But anyway, yeah, we'll play some Tetris Blast. I think this has Super Game Boy support. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, here we go. From Bulletproof Software, the makers of the original Tetris. We've got a nice snow background. Maybe not... Oh, hold on. There we go. Maybe not especially fitting for the time of year, but here we go. Tetris Blast from Bulletproof Software from Nintendo with this cool theme song. I'm going to have to turn this down on mine, but actually, because it may be echoing. Anyway, so we've got 1 player, 2 player. So we have contest, training, and fight. Well, let's go into contest mode. So it's got a password system, in case you want to play through the whole thing. And it's got different backgrounds that change based on what level you're on, which is nice. So, basically the goal of this game is... Yeah, as you've seen, looks a lot like Tetris. However, it's not quite the same thing. So, in Japan, there was a series of games called Bomb Bliss, and essentially this is Bomb Bliss. In fact, in Japan, this particular game was called Super Bomb Bliss, and was an entry in that series. And essentially it is a spin-off of Tetris. It started off on the Famicom with the game Tetris 2 plus Bomb Bliss. Tetris 2 just being the straight sequel to Tetris on the Famicom, which was not a great version of Tetris. It was yeah, a bit of an iffy version, let's be honest. However, yeah, the sequel was a lot better. And when it comes to, well, this series, so like I say, Bomb Bliss basically turned into its own series. And yeah, essentially they kind of took the concept of Tetris and changed the rules a bit. Because of course, in the original Tetris, well, you know, when you form a line, it clears the line. But not in this game. In this game, whenever you form a line, it will actually... basically, it will only clear a line if there's an explosive in it. Or rather, any explosive that are in the line gets set off. Making it a very different game to the original. And the size of the explosion changes based on... yeah, it actually changes based on how many lines you have that haven't exploded yet. Or 4 lines, I guess, something like that. But yeah, basically they took Tetris and added bombs on it. Because we throw bombs on it, throw bombs on it. Just smash something, you smash for me. Hey, hey. Do you think we can make an earthquake up in here? Oh, let me see if I can get this to work. Aha! This is the secret! 3 lines! Yeah, that's how you do it. Also, it sounds like they have the Konami pause sound in here as well, which is interesting. Okay, so let's try to get this going. Now, you'll notice that they, for the most part, use the standard Tetris blocks, but not completely. You do get some non-standard ones in there as well. And sometimes it can be hard to form. Like, you get these bigger bombs like this. But yeah, the secret to this game is you got to try to form a whole bunch of lines. Unfortunately, not really getting the pieces I want right now. It's basically fucking me on the RNG. So the classic Tetris experience, because it wouldn't be a Tetris game if the RNG didn't try to fuck you at every turn. But yeah, I mean that's basically the Tetris experience for me. Maybe that's just me being bad at Tetris, but still. Yeah. Also, yeah, trying to beat the high scores on these. Also, kind of hard later on, but to be fair, It is at least optional, unlike Kirby's block ball. Also, I do like this bit. Yeah, got the snappy thing. I can't remember how many stages this game has. I know it's at least 30. Anyway, let's go to the next level. So let's see what I can do with this. Not a whole lot, because it's giving me these pieces that I can't really do much with. Ugh. Okay. Yes! Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's giving me a line piece. Actually, it's kind of funny when you compare this to regular Tetris. The line pieces often end up just being a liability. Because of the way that you have to explode the pieces. It's like, I don't want a line piece! The line piece is just going to get me fucked. I don't know. I mean, I've played this game enough to know... yeah, it's got the same problem as Tetris, where you're really reliant on RNG a lot of the time to really get anywhere. I don't know if that's just me just being bad at the game. Because I will say for the record, I'm not good at Tetris. I will say this straight up. Like, I make... I will not pretend that I'm any good at these games. And it doesn't help when the game is just giving me really bad pieces to work with. Like, I don't know. I'm sure there's some secret to being good at this that I just don't know. But, I'm not finding that right now. Yeah, eventually get the high score. Or eventually beat the level. I didn't get the high score. I think there's one issue with the way this game is set up, because I don't think you get the same pieces every time. Like, some games like this you do, and this is not one of them. Like, this one, again, there's a lot of RNG involved with just, like, you have to hope you get the right pieces, and then, if not, well, just oops. And then sometimes you get situations like this, where it's like, I formed the big bomb, but then, because I formed another line, it didn't count it. There's another one of those games that has a really good soundtrack, though. Maybe that's why I got so much into, like, video game audio. Just because a lot of the games I played back in the day had the jams. But, yeah, if there's... No, I don't think... Did Tose make this? I don't know. I mean, it says Bulletproof Software at the beginning, so I think they made it. So unless that screen is lying to me, I don't know. But, yeah, you do have this issue where sometimes you can form a line, or form a big bomb, but it doesn't do it because you formed a line as you do it. I kind of wish it did it the other way around. Maybe that's just sour grapes, I don't know. But, so, like, here, like, I want to form, like, a blank line so I can increase the explosions. But, yeah, but as you probably figured out, like, you do have to clear all the blocks. Like, that's how you win. And sometimes you get stuff like this, where it's like, well, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with this piece. I certainly can't form a bomb out of it. As much as I want to. Like this. It's like, well, can't do much with that. But I can do something with this! There we go. Now here's a question. Does the Japanese version of this have a save feature? Like, as in, like, battery save? Because I feel like this is one of those games that would do that. where, like, that version has a battery save and none of the other versions do. Because I do remember that being just a thing that happened with, like, old games back in the day, where, like, certain versions would have better save features than other versions. And it, yeah, it never really made a whole lot of sense. Just manufacturing costs, or just the publishers being cheap asses. Whichever. There we go. Also, the grand score, I don't remember what that does. I want to at least beat stage 10. But yeah, like, sometimes you want to form, like, a blank line, but the game doesn't give you the pieces to be able to do that, like here. Okay, so I've got to keep space open in case I get a long piece. I did not. There we go. Got a bit lucky with that one. But like I say, it's basically Tetris with explosions, but again, they have changed the rules a little bit. Tetris Blast! Yeah! Oh, look at that character, that's cool. Hold on, I'm gonna look this up. Did Thtouch make this? So we go, Tetris Blast. Let me look this up. Yeah, so apparently this is Thtouch. So why it says bulletproof software at the beginning, I don't know. Unless they co-developed it. But, okay, here we go. Two. Aha! No, that didn't work. Fine, I'll just do this then. There we go. Game stop. Oh, wait, what's going on? What is going on with the stream? Okay, the game itself is still running. Maybe it's just a problem with my capture device. Hold on, maybe if I turn it off and on again, because the game is still working on my end. Hold on, let me see if I can get this working. Okay, there we go. Okay, well this is what stage 12 looks like. Seems it wants to actually display it. But no, I do apologise for that. I don't know what happened. Okay, we've got 2 lines now. Yeah. Ugh. But I'll just do this. Yeah, I don't know where I'm supposed to put this one. But there we go. Okay, so there's not really much more to show off of this mode. So, yeah, it kind of just is this. Oh, that's right, you can actually just reset the game. Which is good. It's nice and convenient. So let's see what the training mode looks like. Speed select. So, let's see, it goes up to 9. Let's try playing on level 9. Yeah, well, it certainly is fast. Also, I know this song. This is actually a remix of one of the tracks. It's a remix of one of the songs from, I think, Super Bombless 2 on the Super Famicom. I know the song is in that game. But yeah, it sounds a bit different there. Of course, I wasn't aware of that playing this as a kid. That was basically something I was aware about much later. Yeah, like that. So, the training mode can actually be quite useful if you need to figure out, like, the strategies on how to clear all the blocks. Also, I don't know why, but the whole, like, this is Spinal Tap 2 kind of just popped into my head. Yeah, what? I may actually go and see that, because it's looking good. It's looking quality. At least this one shows you a whole bunch of blocks. Like, watch this. Yeah! Just blow up the whole level. Okay, let's see what happens when you lose, because I'm curious. Actually, I remember what happens when you lose. It's kind of cool. It's kind of a shame this mode doesn't have a score system, though. I don't know. Feels like they could have done a bit more with... Like, just have it be like an endless mode, where you get more points for not losing. But okay, we'll have a quick look at the fight mode, just so you can see what this looks like. Oh, the song! Yeah, classic. Yeah, we got Block Man, we've got a Fish Blob Man, and what looks like a Nice Code mascot. But okay, we'll go for stage 1. So this one is so this mode is quite interesting. Basically, you've got this like character that kind of just gets in the way. Also, the theme on this one's quite good too. Oh, also I forgot the character could do that. But yeah, basically the fight mode. I don't remember if this was in any of the Super Famicom games. Maybe it was. I don't remember offhand. Boom! Yeah, that's how you win, by the way. You actually just have to yeah, set off explosions near them. Like this. Oh, actually I might have done it a bit too early. And my timing is garbage. Unfortunately. I'm trying to see if I can set off the big bomb, but easier said than done. Yeah, there we go. Unfortunately, you don't lose, it doesn't lose health for just hitting them. I also can do that because the bastard. So I'm going to get back. Yeah, it's kind of like playing Tetris Battle Garden a little bit. Where they just give you a whole bunch of extra rows. There we go. Yeah, so literally, you're just kind of playing... you're playing Bombless as you try to kill this character. So now we have Thtouch, who you might recognise as that character that you saw in the little dancing animation. And I don't remember how you beat this. But yeah, this one's basically a bastard who will keep eating all the things. But yeah, I think basically if you run out of rows, you lose. Also, I don't think you can eat the big ones. Like that. So basically, it can't do that one. Oh, okay, I thought there was more of a gap there. So there's one secret. Though actually, eating those things can be useful, since having more rows without anything explosive in them. Okay, I didn't mean to do that, but okay. But yes, JP versus the Thtouch. Yeah, I don't think so. Also, yeah, I'm rubbish at this mode, as you probably tell. Especially since I can't make a line. Which is kind of a problem when you're playing a Tetris derivative. Being able to make a line is kind of the point. just do that. Yeah, you want a primer on how not to play this game? This is it. No! That one's facing the wrong way. And that one's also facing the wrong way. And that one's got the block in the wrong spot. Wait, how am I going to do this? Oh, you bastard. It's one of those mascots you just want to slap. Kind of like Bubsy. Also, because the game keeps giving me the pieces facing the wrong way round. Oh! Of course it forms the wrong row that I didn't want. Yeah, this is the thing with, like, any Tetris game, you're always at the mercy of, like, the pieces the game decides to spawn. So if it spawns the wrong ones, you just lose. Or at least it is if you're rubbish at it like I am. Yeah. So like I say, I am rubbish at this game, so... I'll say, I noticed that this time it gave me a different level layout. I don't know if that's like... we know that you're bad at this, so we'll give you an easier level. Or if it's just random, I don't know. But yeah, suffice to say, I don't think I'm going to be beating this level. I have beaten it before, but yeah, like my Tetris head is not on today. Yeah, like, whatever the trick is to, like, not sucking at this mode, I don't know. Especially when the game just keeps giving me the S and Z pieces that no one likes. Because they're rubbish. So sometimes the game's just like that, where you just put it in the wrong place and it's like, oh, well, you lose. Yeah, I think the trick to beating this one is you just gotta keep forming the giant bombs that you can't eat. Okay. Well, might as well see what the third one's like, and then we'll probably call it a day, I think. I do like that fade effect, though. I don't think the Game Boy is normally capable of that. So this one can just float around wherever it wants. And just, like, trigger a hard drop, I think. Or maybe I just accidentally press down. Which is entirely possible, no me. No, okay, it does trigger a hard drop. Yeah, this one is just, yeah, position the block in the right spot. But the problem is, this one there's a lot of luck involved with where the enemy is. You just have to pray the enemy is in the general vicinity of where the blocks are. Like there, because it was just outside where the blast was, it didn't count. And I hate when games do that, it's just kind of needlessly annoying. Oh, okay, I guess you win if you also clear the whole level. Okay, I didn't realise that was a thing you could do. There we go. Creeper, not the one from Minecraft. So this one just adds blocks. Okay, well, that didn't really help. But this mode is actually quite interesting. I don't know. I like it. It's also just a case of yeah, you gotta get the practice in. I want to say I used to be better at this, but I'm not sure if that's actually true. Also, you do note that the well, you probably noticed that the blocks do speed up the further into the game you get. So yeah, good luck with that. So at least I can do that. Do that. Form the... Here's the problem. Often the explosions just aren't big enough. Sometimes you get blocks like this where you can't place them where you want to. Like there, because that enemy happened to get rid of that one block, it meant that I couldn't form the line. So look at this, like, you have to get in, like, exactly in the explosion radius or it doesn't count. It's just kind of bollocks. It's like, oh, oops, you didn't hit the enemy when they were down, but also you can't do that because the blocks move way too fast to do it in any tactical way. Yeah, I'd forgotten this mode is actually kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. There we go. And I don't remember what this one does. I remember what the blocks do, they get in my way. I guess that helps. Also, I'm sure these had different names than the Japanese one. I mean, they had to have done, surely. Okay, that one's too short. That one's facing the wrong way. That one, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. Yeah, it kind of just does what... I like that this is presented as the hard one, and yet it's probably easier than level 2. It's like, yeah, I guess I'm just kind of here. Also, I can do that, but then, like, all the other characters can do that anyway, so I don't know. It's kind of weird. Stop giving me the bloody Z piece, like, over and over every single time. Why does this game need a million Z pieces? I can't really do anything with those. Okay, so what does it do when it runs out of blocks? It does this! It loses. There are more stages after stage 5, by the way. I can't remember how many there are, but I know there's many. So, Doug Grub.
Yes, the legend Doug Grub. It's my favourite. Why is it called Doug Grub? Because it digs through things, I guess. Also, it does that because it's a bastard. Boom! Anyway, I'll probably call it after this one. So I think we kind of know what this game has to offer. Anyway, let's see what happens when you lose. I think I know what happens anyway, but so that is Tetris Blast. Oh, I just want to hear the title theme again. Yeah, let's see where this goes on the list. So where does Tetris Blast go on the Game Boy Killer list? I mean, it's an interesting one. I think it's a very interesting take on Tetris, but it certainly does not supersede Game Boy Tetris, because when it comes down to it, Tetris Blast is not Tetris. It's very similar to Tetris, and rounding it as a Tetris game does make sense in ways that Tetris, in ways that games like Tetris 2 and Tetris Attack do not, since those games really have nothing to do with Tetris beyond being a puzzle game that takes place in a well. This is clearly built on Tetris with a few of the rules changed, but again, it doesn't replace Tetris. It is definitely its own entity. And you think about the modes that this game has. I mean, Tetris, you know, it really is built around that marathon mode, the endless mode, whatever you want to call it. You know, play it for as long as you can without losing. And Tetris Blast doesn't really have that. I get the feeling there was probably one in one of the Super Famicom games, but it's kind of like, okay, here's like a ton of like pre-made puzzles that you have to solve. I don't know. It works in a different way to Tetris, and yeah, I mean, thinking about where it goes on this list, I mean, I would put it above Kirby's Block Ball. I think overall it is a better game. It's got the two-player mode, which you really want for a game like this, but, you know, at the same time, does it really compare that well to the console ones? Probably not. But it moves better than Game Boy Tetris. Like, it moves better, it's got a really cool soundtrack, but it's lacking that kind of endless mode, like a proper one that actually has a score, rather than just a training mode. And I think that's what it needed to really, you know, be one of the best, and it just kind of doesn't get there. Like, I put this above Kirby's Block Ball, I put it above Amazing Tater, or Puzzle Boy 2 if you prefer. It's better than Felix the Cat. Felix the Cat is a bit too short and easy, I think, to really belong any higher up this list. But is it better than Goggles Quest? Because when I think about this, it's like, okay, sitting down to like play through all 100 levels of the contest mode, however many it might be. I'm just not sure it really offers enough variation where it's like, for you to want to keep restarting with each new level. I guess it's kind of similar to Flashpoint, the Tetris derivative that Sega made in the arcades. But I think about where it belongs on this list, and I'm like, is it better than Goggles Quest? It's a difficult question. Goggles Quest is a very interesting game, but there's definitely some frustrations to be had with the platforming and level designs and whatever, but it's got a bit more going on. And it's definitely better than Penguin Wars. It's not better than Goggles Quest. It's our new number 35. You know, I definitely, like, would not put this above the original Tetris. The original Tetris is an all-timer. It's a lot more replayable than Tetris Blast is, I think, and, you know, that really is what separates a game from Tetris from a game like Tetris Blast. Tetris Blast, if it had a better selection of game modes, I think it would be a lot higher. But it's still a very good game, you know. It is number 35 with a bullet. And I think that will do for today's stream. Like, there's not really much else in terms of Super Game Boy games that I have to cover that would arguably really benefit from having the Super Game Boy features. I mean, there are certainly games I've looked at before, like Yu Yu Hakusho 4 or King of Fighters 96, where they do use the Super Game Boy, but not necessarily to much of an effect. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you look at the list. I mean, we've got a new top 10 game, the Space Invaders. Got several new top 10 games. I mean, really, aside from Superman, there wasn't really much in terms of really bad games. And even Superman is at least a funny bad. So I'd say, you know, better than usual. Though I'm sure that will change with the next episode, which I hope to do next week. But, I mean, you look at this, I mean, game 100 is Kung Fu Master, so clearly we are going up in the world. Yes, for today, I have quit the fight. But anyway, yeah, I'll be back with some more games next week. I'll probably be moving back to the Game Boy Player as well, just because, you know, I want to cover some Game Boy Color games as well, not just monochrome games. But anyway, I will see you all next week, I hope, so take care.